Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, Missouri, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley, Danny Mack, Randy Carricker, Matthew Rocchio, and a dreary, drab day outside and inside if you're a Cardinal fan. Because the Cardinals lost again last night, 9-2 to the Cincinnati Redlegs. They were swept by the Cincinnati Redlegs, and the Cardinals fall to 60-61, under 500 for the first time in June. But, as they say in baseball, at least you get a chance to play another game tomorrow.
Except there's an off day.
Yeah.
Darn it.
Another one.
Darn it. 9-2. And guys, I don't know about you guys, but I had four different friends of mine on the ledge last night that were texting me throughout the course of the game, talking about how bad it is, how embarrassing it is, how awful it is. And it's hard to come up with a retort when things are going the way they are and the team is under 500, because we're a fan base that's used to having a winning record. We're used to, in the middle of August, we're used to being in a pennant race. And now, for the second consecutive year, the team is under 500 in mid-August, and the natives are restless.
Yeah, and I think that rightfully so with everything that's going on right now. During the course of this 4-game losing streak that the Cardinals are currently on, they've been outscored 27-7. We've seen the starting pitching really falter and not be what you needed here down the stretch, especially yesterday with Kyle Gibson. That was really, really painful to watch, obviously, for everybody who was watching that game, allowing 7 runs and 7 hits, including 4 homers. Now, I understand that it's the Great American Small Park, and so you have to factor that into there, but the Cardinals are also playing there, too, and they still couldn't get anything going offensively.
It just shows you the importance of slug. And it's a power game, and Cincinnati just outslugged the Cardinals in every way in that series. It also talks about starting pitching. If you look at Gray, Gibson, Michaelis, Lynn, and Fetty, since July 1st have an ERA collectively of 5.5. So if you're not getting starting pitching, which they didn't last night, and you're not slugging, and you can't score with runners in scoring position, well, that adds up to what you have right now, which is a team that's below 500, and you get swept in Cincinnati. Cincinnati now is right there with the Cardinals, and you're 8.5 games out, and it becomes very, very difficult with some of these games now ticking off the sheet and on the calendar to come back and be even a factor trying to get into postseason play.
It's really hard for me to imagine with those numbers you just gave in regard to the starting pitching, the way you get back into a race like this. And the Cardinals are 4.5 out of the wild card spot, 8.5 out of the division. They aren't in as dire of straits as they were in what turned out to be a miracle season in 2011. And the Cardinals still like to fall back on 2011, which was, in 150 years of baseball, that was the aberration. That was the outlier. It wasn't teams coming back from big deficits. And that team was really good. That team had Chris Carpenter at the top of the rotation. That team had rebuilt its bullpen. That team still had Albert Pujols. There were Berkman. There were a lot of really good elements to that team. And so far, through 161 games, Mason Wynn has been a really nice element. Let's go with the youngsters. Wynn, Donovan, Alec Burleson. I'll go Pajes has been a nice element. But when you look for the elements that help you win divisions, not just individual games, that help you get to the playoffs, the Cardinals don't have many of them.
No, they really don't.
And the guys aren't performing up to what my expectations are. We mentioned yesterday, I think these are better players than the way they're playing. But, guys, I just don't see an avenue for the Cardinals to turn things on and make the playoffs.
Well, and also the players that you listed back in 2011, when I think of those guys, I think of how clutch that they were, how they had that ability to be really clutch in situations. We keep talking about the issues with runners in scoring position, and Dan, you mentioned this. I thought that one inning that was very just kind of a typical Cardinals season inning that we have seen when you're talking about offensive struggles is when Brendan Donovan led off with that double and never left second base, and Paul Goldschmidt grounded out. Lars Nootbaar struck out, and then Tommy Pham was hit by a pitch, and Victor Scott II struck out. I thought that was very just kind of indicative of what we have seen this entire season, where you're waiting for somebody to come through, and it doesn't happen.
I think part of the frustration, too, for the fan base is seeing what is happening with Jordan Walker. and, basically being told he's going to be a platoon against lefties. Did come in, faced a lefty, stayed in the game last night. But I think that's something, too, now down the stretch, 8.5 games out. At what point do you say, we're out of this thing? And you can't say that if you're Cardinals right now. You still got time on the clock. And stranger things, Randy, as you mentioned, have happened. But Walker playing, does Sajasi come up? Does Gorman go down? Those are things that I think you have to look at and have to be on the table right now, because if you continue to go with what you're doing, it's not working.
I'm trying to think of a top 5 prospect since prospect rankings came out that came up with their team and was utilized as a platoon player. For me, if you have a guy that is held or has been placed on this pedestal, not just by the Cardinals, but MLB Pipeline, Baseball America, we've gone through it ad nauseum, the appreciation that people around baseball have for the talents of Jordan Walker. You don't bring that player up to be a platoon player, even if you think we're only doing it because we need a right-handed bat, which we can get into in a moment as well. But if you are going to have a player of this ilk on your team, then you have to play said player. Is Tommy Pham really going to get any better by playing? No. Does Jordan Walker have a chance to get better by playing? Yes. We love Tommy Pham. We love the deal. But you don't play Tommy Pham right now over Jordan Walker, even in September. You play Jordan Walker for the next 2 weeks. There's a very good chance that he could be a better player than Tommy Pham by the time this season ends.
Or even Newpar.
Yeah.
That's right. Another one. Or Gorman, and how you have to align your outfield with your infield defense if Donovan is at second base. This is my guess, and it could be right, could be wrong. This is just a guess with Walker. They're being so cautious with him. They're trying to put him in the best situation to have success. And I think what you're saying, Randy, is take off the training wheels and let him go. See, he's going to have some ups and downs as we see the final month and a half play out. But let him play. And I'm in that camp. I'd rather see him playing every day. And if he doesn't have success, he doesn't have success. But I think more times than not, he's at least going to have a chance. And I think that's something that you have to look at.
Well, you also have more years of control with him. With Tommy Pham, as you mentioned, we all enjoy him and what he's able to bring to the table. But at this point, what was the purpose of bringing up Jordan Walker this soon? Because I know that they said that he's going to be a platoon bat versus lefties, which is something they do really need. But at the same time, if you look at his numbers, and we could probably dive into this
better
a little
against
bit
right-handers.
He is. He's better against his career. If you look up at his minor league numbers and his big league numbers, he's actually better against righties. And you are facing a lot of righties here soon. And you just finished facing a bunch of lefties. So if that was what you felt most comfortable with him, then why didn't you bring him up in that situation?
Quote from Ollie Marmol yesterday in Cincinnati. This is from our buddy John Denton of MLB.com. Ollie on Jordan Walker being used primarily against left-handers. He said, quote, "The big league team has a need, and it's a right-handed bat. So that's the simplest way to look at it. It's not May. It's the end of the year. You have a limited amount of games left. And our biggest struggle has been against left-handed pitchers. Yes, we know it's only Kershaw, and Milwaukee has all right-handed starters for the most part. So we were aware of that going into how we made this decision." Okay. Fine. You need a right-handed bat. You are facing some left-handed pitching, but primarily right-handed pitching. You have a 26-year-old switch hitter at Memphis named Matt Koperniak, who this year, against left-handed pitching, you need a right-handed bat, is hitting .344 with a .417 on base and a .521 slug for a .938 OPS at AAA Memphis. If you needed a right-handed bat, why not take the guy who's been super productive against left-handed pitching down at the minor league level? And that way you could, if you're not going to play Jordan Walker every day here, you can play him every day there.
Exactly. Yeah, it really doesn't make much sense to me. And in that same quote that you mentioned there, Ollie goes on to bring up the fact that it needed to be an outfielder. Why did it need to be an outfielder that they brought up for the minors?
That's a great question. I don't know would you go for Mean again? I don't know.
So JC?
Yeah, so it could be that. But I mean, it's not like you need Gorman here, right? So
now he needs to go down in my mind, and just get back on track.
Right. So to your point, Brooke, exactly. Herrera, and he's hurt right now, right? He's a little banged up, but still, it didn't have to be an outfield because you have the DH. If any, I'm not going to say any. That's not fair. But somebody that is reasonable can look at the way that this team is constructed and baseball these days with the designated hitter, and it doesn't have to be an outfielder. You've got a bunch of outfielders to play, and you're going to play Tommy Pham, apparently. You've got Scott out there. You could play Newt Barr in the outfield. You've got Donovan to play. You've got plenty of people to play the outfield and mix and match.
Now, the text line is not a true barometer in my mind of how frustrated the fans are. These are all people that are frustrated. The thing I'd be concerned about if I'm the Cardinals is apathy. Apathy can be worse than a passionate fan that is upset, because if you're apathetic, you're just kind of like, whatever. And you don't need, you don't want that. And I think there's some people out there, Randy, you were talking about it being on a text chain. I know, Brooke, you run into people that come up to you and say, I'm pissed off. I get it. But I have some fans that I was with last night, and they're just like, whatever. And that's worse to me than having fans that are passionate and are saying, I'm really upset with this team, or even the fans on the flip side that are saying, hey, there's going to be growth with some of these young players. I'm going to stick with it. There are fans that are saying that too. Not many, but there are fans. But if you're apathetic out there, that's a problem. And that to me would be of concern if I'm the Cardinals.
Especially if for the baseball side, they've got to look at that. But if you are Mr. DeWitt, Bill DeWitt Jr., and you're looking at empty seats and you're looking at trending towards less than 3 million people, that's a big deal for him. And that's something that, think about this. When we talk about next year's team, they're going to lose 500,000 tickets. They're going to go from 3.4 million sold to 2.9 million sold. You think the payroll's going up? No. And that's another thing that, and this is the fault of them to be under 500. Who wants to buy a less than compelling product? If you've got two products sitting in the store that are roughly the same price, and one of them is pretty good and it's exciting, and you know that the people that own the company are putting the best foot forward, and then you have another one where it's been the same product for a long time and there is no real aggressiveness to improve it, who are you going to take? So you've got St. Louis City SC on the left part of the shelf, and you've got the Cardinals on the right side of the shelf. If I'm the Cardinals, and I'm looking at the Blues firing coaches and moving on, and the St. Louis City SC deciding a year and a half in that, okay, this isn't the guy for us, we've got to move forward, and then both teams go out and make dramatic changes with their personnel too, their player personnel. And if I'm the Cardinals, I can't sit there and say, yeah, my approach is the correct approach, because I'm seeing other products that are being more aggressive in trying to enhance what they are selling.
Well, and then last year, everything was thought to be just kind of a mulligan year, right? That it would be a one-off. That is something that was talked about a lot. But with the way that things are going right now, that's not a one-off. That is a trend, and it's a trend in the wrong direction. I think that's another part of the fans' frustrations. You brought up firings. I think, honestly, in this situation, a coach firing isn't even going to do anything. A manager firing isn't even going to do anything. This is more indicative of bigger changes need to change.
Right. And I'm not even advocating for that, because I agree with you 100%. There is a systemic problem organizationally. They don't have enough minor league coaches to help develop players. They need help they need an organizational enema, because things are just stopped up right now.
I've never really heard that, Randy.
They do.
That's interesting. That's a good one. I like that.
That was good.
Things are stopped up.
You made me laugh this morning. That was funny.
We're having like a very tense conversation.
Organizational enema. I've never heard that.
But when I
get it, though. Makes some sense here.
Because everything is just stopped up and gross, and we feel bad and bloated right now. And they need to get things flowing, and it's not flowing right now.
It says here on the 618, I used to watch every inning of every game the last couple of years, pretty much like last night. After seeing the 3-run homer by India, I was out. I think that's where a lot of these fans are going with their frustration, is once they see the team fall behind, it's kind of like, I don't want to watch this. And that's apathy to me. Yeah. And that's the problem that I have, that I'd be very concerned with if I'm looking down from Clark Street and watching what's in the ballpark, and then some of the reactions that you're getting from fans by not buying tickets. that's a lack of interest, and there's people that are apathetic towards the team. And I keep saying that, but I think that's one of the real problems that you have and concerns moving forward.
The mic drop machine is open, as you might imagine. You can use your 101 ESPN app to leave us a mic drop, whatever you're thinking about the Cardinals right now. I know that there's a lot of thoughts out there. You can use the 101 ESPN app and leave us a mic drop throughout the course of the show. We'll also be taking your texts. While you were sleeping, the U.S. men's national team reportedly has hired Maurizio as their new coach, being a long time, heck, 5 years, Tottenham fan. Maurizio did a great job with Hotspur Coys. I've got a Coys shirt, I'll have you know. And I know that Maurizio did a great job. Probably was victimized a little bit by Harry Kane. Matthew, you think he's bringing in Harry Kane with him to the U.S. men's national team?
That's not how the national team works, unfortunately.
Darn it. Why? Why can't we just pay him more?
I think he has to live here for like a long time, and he's like 30-something.
Darn it, okay.
So I don't think it's going to work.
Well, Maurizio is a good coach, so I'm glad that the U.S. men's national team has hired him because his first name is fun to say and he makes great pizza.
Wow. I hadn't thought about that aspect either.
From that perspective.
Organizational
Maurizio.
enema and guy that makes pizza.
Yeah.
I like it.
Running our soccer program.
Okay, good.
A lot of things I was not expecting to hear this morning.
He's Argentinian.
Is he?
Yeah.
Our coach is?
Mauricio Pochettino?
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure he's Argentinian.
So don't they have pizza in Argentina?
I mean, they got a lot of Italians there, but
There you go.
I didn't realize they were known for it.
He is.
Okay.
There used to be a really good pizza place called Maurizio's, wasn't there, over by Enterprise Center? It's out of business. It was victimized by COVID, but it was really good. They had good pizza there. So I just assumed that everybody named Maurizio made good pizza. Was that wrong?
No.
I do like a good pizza.
I love a good pizza. By the way, Michelle's Courtney's friend too, right? Courtney Landrum next door. Doesn't want to promote the show or anything, but Courtney and Michelle both have a friend who started up, and Michelle used to promote this Pizzeria De Gloria over on the hill. And you and David went there last weekend, right?
We did. It was delicious. Everybody should go over there. It was perfect in every single way. It was thin, but not too thin where it was just, where you don't want floppy pizza. You like floppy pizza?
I like my emos.
Oh, I see where you're going there. But it was thin, perfect proportions to everything, delicious. Would recommend to anybody. Great patio too.
Okay, good. That's a good thing at this time.
And
of
they
year.
listen to the show.
Oh, well, that's very important too. So head on over there. Brooke, Dan, Randy, Matthew, coming up, and I know that you have some of it in you. What are you sick of? Sick of it is coming your way next on 101 ESPN. Hey, we've got a young dog, Maggie, and she is fast. Thank goodness we have a fence from Chesterfield Fence and Deck, because if she gets running in a hurry, I mean, she goes 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds. So you need to have a fence in your backyard if you have a fast dog like we do. And you need to get that fence from Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They're fantastic. They've been in business for 56 years here in the St. Louis area, and they do great work on fences and decks, sunrooms, screen rooms, pergolas. You can reach Chesterfield Fence and Deck on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. Check out the different types of fences that they have, but you can also give them a call and to check out their facility in Chesterfield Valley. Their number is 800-300-4054. And let's just say that you want to do a deck, and they will come out and they'll show you what they have. They do great work on whether wood, cedar decks, or vinyl decks. They have beautiful vinyl Vecca decks with new pewter. That's a beautiful new color that they have for this year. And if you need to replace a deck, or maybe you have a new home and you want to put a deck in, Chesterfield Fence and Deck is the company to do it. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Tell them that Randy sent you and get 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best. Time for Sick of It here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Dan, Matthew, and Randy. Brooke, what are you sick of today?
Well, I know that we just talked about it a lot, but what I'm really sick of is the handling of Jordan Walker in this situation. Okay, he's a part-time platoon bat. Why in the world did you bring him up if you weren't committed to having him play just about every single day? It does not make any sense to me whatsoever. We talked about this in the last segment. If you're going to talk about splits as the reason why, and of course you do need some more pop against lefties, we understand that's a big concern, but at the same time, he actually has been more effective in his entire career against right-handed pitchers than lefties. You're about to face a lot of right-handed starting pitchers, and Derek Gould tweeted this out the other day. I think 6 of the next 7 starters that you're about to face are right-handed pitchers. So is he going to sit during the majority of that? I know that Ollie Marmol mentioned in that quote that you had earlier that we will see him probably later on in games, but what was the point of bringing him up if you weren't committed to having him start every single day? The handling of Jordan Walker has been so frustrating to me. I understand that you can't hold a player's hand through the process. When they sent him down, his numbers were not good. I was like, okay, yes, he does have to be more productive. Then he became more productive, and we talked about this, about, okay, if you're bringing him up, he needs to be playing just about every single day. And for this to be the situation where he's sitting back-to-back games, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. And by the way, the treatment of young outfielders sometimes is what really bothers me. I want to see these players be able to fully develop instead of going elsewhere and finding success with another organization.
They have their reasons. I don't know what they are to sit Jordan Walker against right-handed pitching. My assumption is that they look at his swing path or something there, and there's a trend that they're picking up that the general public and myself and others aren't picking up. But I want to see him play. I do. I'm with you, Brooke. I want to see him play. If it's good, it's bad, it's ugly, I still want to see him play. He makes me stop and watch, I can tell you that. As a fan of baseball, he's one of the guys that I will sit there and watch. So that is something that I'm with you on. I'm kind of sick of it, too. I just want to see him play. All right, so I'm sick of the home runs being hit by the opposition against the Cardinals. 18 road starts since July, 23 home runs given up by the starters. 23 in 18 road starts. And when that happens, we talk about it. It's a game of slug, game of doubles, game of home runs. You're not going to win many games, and that's where they're at right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. Guys, I'm sick of first alert weather. Now, we're reactionary here at second alert weather. We react to the weather. I'm tired of people, talking to you meteorologists, that went to school, no science, no math, and build these models that are really expensive and tell us what's going to happen, and then it doesn't. Come on, if you were in Vegas, you would be in bankruptcy right now. Right? If you were as wrong as they are, come on. Second alert weather is and what we do is we just look at our phone and tell you what's going to happen. And we got a 50-50 shot. I'm tired of the first alert. And this isn't Tempe and Matt Chambers and just them. It's everybody. 2, 4, 5, 11, 30, whatever. Whoever's doing the weather, let's do a better job of getting it right. And if you get it wrong, give us a free umbrella.
I have to, a free umbrella. If they do get certain things wrong, I do believe, at least on Channel 4, that if they don't get close to the right temperature, then they do donate to a certain cause. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I will say they work really, really hard. Watching Tempe and Chambers. Oh, Randy, come on. Don't do that comparison. They work really, really hard behind the scenes, especially during severe weather. Some people talk about the importance of local weather, local television. During severe weather, the amount of work that they put into making sure that people are safe outside during tornado watch, when actual tornadoes happen, they do a lot behind the scenes. I mean, I would see Tempe just stay like an entire night all the way in the morning, making sure that he could get the news out to people.
How about if you tell us it's going to be sunny, have it be sunny? You tell us it's not going to rain.
Is this affecting your tea time? Is that what's going on,
yes,
Randy?
You're correct, Brooke.
That's 100% what's going on. Can I add something to something that you said, Dan, too, about this team needing a little bit more slug? Right now, they are 23rd in all Major League Baseball in home runs.
Yep, and that's a big part of it. And I hate this is beating down the point, and I get sick of doing this, is if Goldie and Arenado are Goldie and Arenado, probably not having this conversation this morning, and they're not. Arenado is not hit for the slug or the power. Now, it's been better. It's been better, but it's not to the level that we've seen before, and obviously Goldie is having one of those years that he'd love to take away. But if you had those two going, if you had Walker being Jordan Walker and what you thought, a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda is what I'm saying here. But if you did, it'd be a different story. Be a different season.
I wonder if it's more fun being 60 and 61 in Cincinnati, where they have 168 stolen bases.
I don't stop watching Ellie De La Cruz.
I don't either.
No.
That kid is awesome. He had a couple of plays last night. One, they're identical. One got under his glove on the backhand, kind of a short hop, and then the other one, he almost turned into a double play. He's just so much fun to watch, and you're going to have your mistakes going along with him. He's got 20-plus errors, but, man, the flash, the way that he plays, give me a guy like that. And I know every team would love a guy like that, but, man, is he fun to watch as a baseball fan.
59 stolen bases for Ellie De La Cruz. All right, Matthew, I can't imagine that anybody has anything they're sick of here on the text line.
I'm sick of the double standard. 1 year, 500 isn't good enough. Now it's going to be 2 losing seasons in a row, and they seem okay with it. Sick of it.
I don't think that they're okay with it. It's just
They haven't said they are okay with it. I don't think they're okay with it either.
No.
I think there's mounting frustration down there,
yes.
And it's reaching a boiling point, I'm sure, because they thought, I think especially after the trade deadline, you had the momentum, and it just went flat. And I give them credit for going out and getting Fetty and going out and getting Tommy Pham. They needed to do it. They needed a bullpen arm. They went out and got Armstrong. I haven't been overly impressed with them, but they went out and got a bullpen arm. There was momentum there, but it has fallen flat here recently, and you can't just keep losing these games. You're getting not to the point of, insanity, doing the same thing over and over, but you are getting to the point of desperation in trying to win some of these games. And now the schedule gets really tough. And I am a guy that looks at schedules. I know that some people don't. Some people just say you play the game and it doesn't matter who you're playing against. Baseball is weird. I understand that too. But, man, it's pretty tough when you look at what the Padres are doing. The Padres have won 18 of 23, I believe, along with Arizona. So they're hanging around there with the Dodgers. That's the other thing about this weekend is that the Dodgers normally have a lead of double digits, and it's kind of a relaxed team. Maybe the edge isn't quite there. Edge will be there this weekend for L.A. for them to win the division. That's something else to consider going into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the ballpark.
Yeah, Mike Schultz's team has won 18 of 21.
18 of 21. Wow. Okay, I think I said 23.
Yeah. 18 and 3. And 18 of 24 also, because they'd lost 3 in a row before this streak started.
Yeah.
Got Bogarts back, and boom. Unbelievable.
How about Arizona, too, and the way they're playing?
They're great.
So it's going to be tough
really
in the wild card to even get there.
I will not be surprised to see Arizona back in the World Series.
Or even San Diego.
Yeah.
No.
And the Dodgers. But out west, it is.
Can I give you another
gauntlet?
Sick of? We talk about players leaving here and being good. You know, the pitching coach for the Arizona Diamondbacks is a guy named Brent Strom, who's obviously was the pitching coach for a World Series team last year. Before that, Brent Strom's job was pitching coach of the Houston Astros, where he won a couple of World Series. Before that, Brent Strom's job was the minor league pitching instructor for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sick of our coaches running around and doing great jobs, too, and managers.
And Brent Strom was kind of ahead of the curve with a lot of the analytics and looking at that, and also was a rusty nail.
Yeah.
He could rub you the wrong way, and I'm sure he's done that with others, but, man, he's had a lot of success, so give him credit.
Yep. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you very much for your texts as well. We appreciate it. Coming up, we'll see if Greg Amsinger can talk us off the ledge here about the Cardinals on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals swept by the Reds out of Cincinnati with a 9-2 loss last night. Kyle Gibson, 4 2/3, 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and 4 home runs allowed. Kyle Gibson would also give up a home run for 5 total allowed against the Reds in last night's game. Cardinals are off today before the Dodgers come through for a 3-game series at home. Game 1 is Friday evening with a 7:15 start. Also, late last night, the United States men's national team has their new head coach as former Tottenham, PSG, and Chelsea boss Mauricio Pochettino has agreed to take the job. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Efforting Greg Amsinger, MLB Network, and Matthew's talking to him right now. Greg, you can see, of course, on MLB Tonight on the MLB Network. Last night they were showing the Dodgers and the Brewers here. So it was interesting. You mentioned, Dan, that people on the text line went away after the India home run. I flipped over to MLB Network to watch Dodgers and Brewers.
I flip around the entire night. I just watch baseball across the board. I'm a fan of the game. So if the Cardinals are on and I'll watch them a little bit, I'll flip over to the I'm watching the Arizona Diamondbacks, and I'm watching the Padres more than anybody right now.
I was watching Arizona during the day yesterday.
Yeah,
they're hot. Greg is with us on 101 ESPN. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Every time I know I'm going to be on with you guys the next day, I really root for a good Cardinal game. And then to watch what may have been the most listless performance, they only got out-homered by 5. So I just think this team right now, to me, I thought it was the most important series. You couldn't go in there and get handled like that. And the fact that they did, I think with less than 50 games to go in the year, it doesn't look like the Cardinals are going to sniff the postseason. I know there are people driving around going, oh, wow, that's breaking news. I really believed in this. I thought it could work. But that was a terrible performance against the Cincinnati Reds.
Greg, there are a lot of issues, obviously, organizationally. What do you think the main thing is as you watch the teams that are winning and playing well? What do you think the biggest problem with this team or organization is?
I think it's a cookie-cutter approach to hitting. And when you watch certain teams, just pay attention to Paul Skeens, actually. Like, Paul Skeens is eye-opening, how opponents are facing Paul Skeens. Almost all of the hits against Paul Skeens are on the first pitch of at-bats. Because his stuff is the best in the game. So why are you waiting for a 2-strike count? Are you begging him to walk you, which he hasn't been doing? So he throws 102 miles an hour, and if there's one thing guys can hit, it's a fastball at the big league level. So they're walking up knowing their best shot at getting a hit against Paul Skeens is swinging at the first pitch. Almost all of the home runs he's given up as a rookie have come on the first pitch of at-bats. He's going to make that adjustment. Someone's going to let him know this, and he's going to avoid the ambush. The St. Louis Cardinals are up there begging to walk. And every count, let it travel, let it get deep. And this patient approach to hitting, it just looks like a bunch of Eagle Scouts who are just trying to not get in trouble by their Boy Scout master. They don't want to be in trouble, so they're all standing in line. There is no attack. And look, I could watch Victor Scott run forever. Unfortunately, he's swinging for the downs and he's trying to work walks. And why can't we watch this guy bunt like Vince Coleman or Marquise Grissom or Brett Butler back in the day? We've got a bunch of guys up there trying to do the exact same thing. And when you watch certain teams who don't do that, Guardians are a great example. Watch the Cleveland Guardians, who hit no home runs last year. They were essentially the St. Louis Cardinals offensively last year. But now it's Stephen Vogt as their manager, a former player who knows, this is the one bugaboo that we had. How can we fix this? And he told me, I interviewed Stephen Vogt, we want our guys to take their shot early in a count. Every guy needs to take the shot. I go, what does that mean? Pretend it's 3-1 on one of the first 2 pitches you see in the at-bat. And I was like, wow, That's fascinating. Stephen Kwan's on pace to hit 20 home runs. This guy didn't have 11 home runs in his career coming into this season. Everyone has an uptick in slug. They're middle of the pack in home runs. They were the worst last year. I just think the approach to hitting for the Cardinals is so abnormally patient that they're waiting to walk, and all they're doing is walking to their couch in October to watch the playoffs.
Greg, to your point, and this is credit to Danny Mack, who's looked this up, but Paul Goldschmidt, first pitch hitting 326, 1-0 count hitting 360, 0-1 count hitting 355. Then you get deeper into the count, and you've got 140, 183, 160, 111. So what you're saying applies specifically to Paul Goldschmidt, but to the Cardinals in general.
It is this new broad stroke approach to get the starter out of the game, right? So you work up the count. There's no reason for young, inexperienced hitters like Victor Scott to try to work a count. And I don't know what they're expecting. Do they expect him to walk? They expect his on-base percentage to be 380. Who is walking Victor Scott? Who is walking a Michael Ciani? Who's walking any of these guys who can get on base and run? You're not walking these players. Paul Goldschmidt doesn't strike the same fear as he used to back in the day. So in a day and age where you have teams like the Boston Red Sox, their rotation does nothing but throw breaking balls. They don't throw four-seam fastballs anymore. You're not getting the cookie. When you've got a Cy Young winner, Blake Snell, who leads the league in walks because he's done giving in on a 3-1 count. Right? I'm not throwing a fastball 3-1. I'm going to throw a breaking ball in the dirt. If you swing at it, awesome. If you don't, take your base. I'm already ahead in the count on the guy in the on-deck circle because I need 3 strikes to get him out and 4 to walk him. There's a new approach to pitching. The Cardinals aren't going to win this way. They're not going to win unless they're much more aggressive. Look, I don't know if you guys felt this way, but it was a bullpen game yesterday from Cincinnati Reds. And the Cardinals looked completely overmatched in a bullpen game. With an opener and Pagod, to bring out Moll the lefty. They looked almost as if they were facing Paul Skeens, who had his good stuff that night in a bullpen game. So it's an approach that's not going to work. It's not going to work when you got teams that are going to use as many arms as they can, who are max effort trying to strike you out to get ahead in the count, and they're nothing but breaking balls. Good luck surviving and slugging on 1-2 counts. It's just not going to happen.
Greg, Jordan Walker sitting for the second straight game after just being called up, and he was heating up in Memphis. What do you make of how the Cardinals are utilizing him? To be fair, they did say that he would be a platoon bat, but I don't think that we were expecting this, especially when you have a slew of right-handed starting pitchers that you're about to face here soon.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be on the bench. I mean, come off the bench, get a hit like he did last night. That's nice, but it's not what you want to develop a guy. There are certain players who are the exception to rules, and not everyone's treated equally in professional sports. It just is what it is. First-round picks are pushed up to the big leagues because there's a financial investment in those players. So no matter how they perform, you want them to perform well. There will always be someone at the same position at one of the other levels in your minor league system that is performing at the same level, if not better, than that player that you draft in the first round. But you're going to see those organizations push that player to the big leagues because they've got some fiscal, commitment there. So I look at Jordan Walker, and he is being treated like he's not a first-round pick. He's not Jackson Holiday. Look at Jackson Holiday. They couldn't wait to get him back to the big leagues and then commit to him. He's not a platoon player. He's a left-handed bat. He's better against righties than he is lefties, but he's not terrible against lefties. He's playing every day for a team that's in second place in the AL East, and they want to win the World Series this year. Why are they doing that? They want Jackson Holiday to be one of the faces of their organization. They're committed to him. Jordan Walker, I think everyone in St. Louis believed, was being treated the same way, and there was a commitment early on. I think we're wondering now, is that commitment still there? And if it's not, and he's being coined as a platoon player, man, that will alter the trajectory of his career. Look at Jock Peterson right now. At the age of, 30, 31, he's finally showing what he can do, what we saw him do in the minor leagues when he was a 30-30 talent. We couldn't wait to watch Jock Peterson come up to the big leagues with the Dodgers and be a superstar. He did it for a year, and then all of a sudden he got painted with the platoon brush. And he was nothing but a platoon player in the eyes of the Dodgers. And you saw his average plummet. His confidence went down. He's bounced around. He found the last couple of years, his footing with the Atlanta Braves when they won the World Series. He's bounced to San Francisco, and now he's got an on-base percentage near 400. He's a three-hole hitter who is exactly what people thought he was when he was in the minor leagues. But it took him almost a decade in the big leagues to get the confidence back that he's that kind of a player. I just hope the same thing doesn't happen to Jordan Walker. I hope Jordan realizes he should be the exception to the rule, because if this organization is going to turn around in less than 3 years, you need a new face of a franchise that's a superstar. And if you just look at the talent that every one of these guys walks around with, he might be the most talented player in the entire organization.
It seemed to work earlier, Greg, with the older rotation, especially now with Lynn on the IL, and he's going to come back at some point. Since July 1st, the ERA combined is about 5.5. They've given up 23 home runs and 18 road starts since July 1st. Is this the model, I should say, is this the model that can work and be sustained? Do you guys feel like that at MLB Network, or do you think it's finally caught up with them?
Yeah, the Cardinals and the Boston Red Sox are an interesting team to talk about when it comes to starting pitching, because the Cardinals went with this approach, Dan, where we're going to get veteran guys that are going to give us bulk innings, and we think we can win the marathon that way, the regular season. And then when we get to the sprint, we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll go at the deadline, get a bunch of swing and miss, bullpen arms, and maybe another starter, and we're going to be good. They kind of did that, right? So here comes Eric Fetty, but he sort of falls in line with the same sort of stuff that the guys they already have in that veteran-laden rotation. Then you get the Boston Red Sox, who knew they did not have any swing and miss going into opening day. So you get a very creative pitching coach in Andrew Bailey, who goes, you know what, let's not throw fastballs. We're just going to throw breaking balls all the time. That worked until, guess what happens? Inevitably happens for every rotation. Every team has dead arm periods. The dog days of summer, it all happens. Reality sinks in, and everyone's fixated on velocity, right? So, but velocity is only affecting fastballs in the eyes of fans. They only see velocity and they think, man, that fastball's down. What they don't recognize, there's a huge difference between an 89 mile an hour slider and an 84 mile an hour slider. You can pinpoint control a 91 mile an hour fastball, and you can. Kyle Gibson was trying to do that last night, but his home plate umpire was not giving him anything on the corners. When you can pinpoint a fastball, you can still survive in the big leagues on the corners. You can't control a hanging slider. You can't. It hangs. So when you don't have velocity and spin on breaking balls, it gets hammered. And that's what's happening with the Boston Red Sox rotation. This experiment is starting to fade at the wrong time because guys have dead arm. They get tired. Velocity goes down. When you've got veteran starters who are not throwing 98, 99 miles an hour, there don't have anybody like that doing that in the rotation for the Cardinals. Now the pinpoint location, it was almost as if we all watched the game last night. The game was decided by the home plate umpire. The second, I don't know if you guys thought the same as me, the second Kyle Gibson's body language changed in the second inning when he wasn't getting calls in the corner, he was almost as if he's like, I'm defeated. I can't win if I don't get these calls in the corner. My stuff's not good enough. And when you have a rotation that's trying to survive that way, and you get closer and closer to the sprint, which is the postseason, when every pitch matters and can change the outcome of a game, that literally is what will decide the outcome of the Cardinals. So it's the Red Sox getting tired. Their breaking balls are hanging over the middle of the plate, and the Cardinals starters, who are now getting tired like everyone else, they need a home plate umpire to be on their side. If it's not, it's over.
Greg, I want you to give me a National League wild card team that's going to be in the World Series. So you can't have the Dodgers, Phillies, or Brewers. Right now the wild cards are Diamondbacks, Padres, Braves. But we'll throw the Mets in there because they're only 2 games out. And we'll throw the Giants and Cardinals and Reds just for fun. So give me a National League wild card team that plays in the World Series in 2024.
I'm going with the same team everyone's talking about. And they had the greatest day on the deadline to give themselves what I believe is the best bullpen in the National League. It's the San Diego Padres. What they've been doing since the All-Star break is insane. And now there's talk of, will they be the same when Fernando Tatis Jr. comes back? I hope that is not a thought in the clubhouse of that team, because there is, make no mistake about it, Manny Machado is the alpha of that clubhouse. He runs that team. And they all cower to him. He is the guy of that franchise. And him and Fernando Tatis have butted heads before. So if Fernando comes back, you got one of the best defensive right fielders, best outfielders in the game, and that messes with the mojo. It's something to follow. But when it comes to swing and miss after the sixth inning of a game, no National League team has more of it than the San Diego Padres. And because of that reason alone, I like their chances. Now, I will say this. If there is one team that no one wants to get into the playoffs, none of these division leaders want this one National League team to get in, and that is the team that boasts in a short series Blake Snell as a Game 1 starter, Logan Webb as a Game 2 starter, and Robbie Ray as a Game 3 starter. No one wants those three guys in a division series matchup. The San Francisco Giants are a dangerous team because of the three-headed monster now at the top of the rotation. So that is an X factor. But as it comes to the team that no one wants right now because they're the best team playing in the National League, it is the San Diego Padres. They're that good, and they could go to the World Series.
We saw Bobby Witt over the weekend with Kansas City, but I believe that Aaron Judge will be the MVP. And now, after last night, he is the fewest at-bats to 300 home runs in the history of Major League Baseball. If you had to put a dark horse or your pick to get into the realm of MVP of the American League, who are you going with?
I got to go with Aaron Judge right now. I love Bobby Witt Jr. We decided to play a game and go back to 2012, and I wondered if this was Miggy's Triple Crown year against young Mike Trout, war leader 2.0. Is this the sequel of the 2012 AL MVP debate? And I'm telling you, it's crazy scary it is. Through the same number of games, Miggy's numbers were not what Aaron Judge's are. Aaron Judge is on pace to flirt with a 60-homer season, on base, getting closer to 500. Like, it's crazy what Aaron Judge is doing, but he's also very much in the mix to win the Triple Crown like Miggy did. Bobby Witt Jr. and Mike Trout's seasons of 2012 are almost identical. I mean, average home runs, stolen bases, and Bobby Witt's got the advantage there. But through this many games, it's jaw dropping. WAR, I think right now Judge still has the edge over Bobby Witt, but who knows? Because of Bobby Witt's incredible defense and base running, that could change at the end of the year. But I'm going with Aaron Judge. The fact that he's playing center field for the New York Yankees, and actually from defensive metrics, he's playing it well. I'll go there. Don't overlook what Jose Ramirez is doing with the Guardians. I mean, it's incredible. He's on base for over 40 homers, almost 120 RBIs. One of the best base runners in the game. He's incredible. He's so valuable to what the Guardians are doing. But there are two statistical races I'm chasing and following this year. And one of them, number one, is Shohei Ohtani, who had 2 stolen bases last night, on pace to flirt with a 50-50 season. Now, Raul Acuna had over 70 bags and 41 homers. 41 homers is not close to 50 homers. We're looking at a guy who could legitimately, I think he wants to hit 50 homers, steal 50 bags. That's number one. Number two, we've never seen a player not connected to PEDs have 2 career 60-homer seasons. For Aaron Judge to get to 60 home runs would be significant and would make him one of the great sluggers in the history of our sport. That is what we're enjoying right now. Guy not connected to PEDs. He looked exactly the same when he came in as a rookie, a kid trying to get drafted in Studio 42. I met him the night of the draft. He looked exactly the same as he looks now. This is a super pure great star in our game. We got to enjoy it, because don't let the Bonds and the Sosas and the Maguires water down our reality. This is a special giant of a man who's doing something that we had never seen before. So I am all about Aaron Judge. I think he's the MVP frontrunner, and I am fingers crossed. I hope he gets to 60 homers again this year.
Greg, awesome stuff as always. You're the best. Thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it.
All right, you guys take care. See you.
See you later. That is the great Greg Amsinger joining us on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! TIOLI next on 101 ESPN.
You know, yesterday, Stewie was in. We recorded a couple spots, and he is amazing. And it's something that he does for our 101 ESPN listeners. So if you're someone who is looking to purchase a home or refinance, looking to consolidate some of that ugly credit card debt, maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go to in any of these things. And again, he's helping out a lot of 101 ESPN listeners. Let's make it easy for you. Call Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. He will help you every step of the way. If it's a new home, and he said that you have to do that now. If you're looking for a new home to purchase, make sure you do it now. He will get you to the closing table fast. Try 10 days. He'll get you the best interest rate possible. He also has the bagel loan that can help you out too. So what is the bagel loan? If you borrow $200,000 or more, there's no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, and no closing costs. Stewart is your guy. He makes it easy. Any questions on rates, the industry, the trends, give him a call. Here is his personal cell phone. He'll pick up, or you can text him, 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
Put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Time for TIOLI here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Dan, Matthew, and Randy. Yesterday, Mizzou announced that they have sold out season tickets for the 2024 campaign. Congratulations to the Tigers. Their football program is rocking and rolling. Take it or leave it, guys. You would be disappointed by a 9-win Mizzou season.
Oh, I'll take that.
Yeah, my expectations are so high. Maybe I'm putting way too much into my expectations, but I'm with you.
Here's the thing. It wasn't too long ago that we would have built a statue for a coach that won 9 games at Mizzou. And now we would have been absolutely thrilled. And I'm with you guys. I would be disappointed if they only won 9 this year, too.
Because of the way that their schedule is. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. The schedule is really set up well for them to succeed going into SEC play. I feel like they should. They should win 11, I think, is the minimum I'm looking at.
I get to put Randy on the spot all the time, so can I put you on the spot again, please?
Yes,
sir. Season ticket base, what's the max? Do you know the number on that?
They have held back a lot of tickets for individual, and then they have their student tickets, too. I believe the season ticket base is around 58,000.
Wow, 58,000.
Yeah.
Man,
because the building holds 68 now.
I was going to say like 30.
Oh, no. No, it's way beyond that. So there's a lot of interest.
Wow.
So congratulations to them.
58,000. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the new stadium upgrades. It looks fantastic.
It's going to be spectacular.
All right, take it or leave it. I am already looking ahead to the future with the Cardinals because I need something to make me happy right now. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but top prospect T. Kens pitched 4 scoreless last night in Springfield, allowing just 1 hit with no walks and 6 strikeouts. Take it or leave it. He will be with the big league club next year.
I think in some form or fashion he will be. I don't know if it'll be opening day, but it's starting to get to that time to bring him up. And as hard as he throws, he could fit into a bullpen. If you go back to like Carlos Martinez and Trevor Rosenthal, and this is under Mo, guys did make the jump from AA to the major leagues and bypassed Jordan Hicks, another one, and bypassed some of the minor league stops. So I'll take that. I think at some point we see him next year.
I think so, too. I do think, though, that they need to back off on rushing these players. When you look at what happened with Hicks, Helsley took so long to get here, and, well, not to get here, but to become what he has become. And then, obviously, you look at the position player situation with Carlson and Jordan Walker. I think they need to start developing players at a more reasonable pace.
Okay, this is an amazing stat that I dug up. The Pirates, O'Neal Cruz. I think we all like watching him. He's another guy with a lot of flash, a lot of flair to his game. He has 192 career base hits. He's 25. Juan Soto, at 25, has 193 career home runs. So my thing is, take it or leave it. We're not giving enough attention to how great of a young player Juan Soto is. I think he gets the attention, but I think because he's been around, it seems like forever, we forget he's 25 and will put together one of the most amazing careers, barring injury, that the baseball world has ever seen. I really believe that.
Oh, I'm taking that.
Yeah,
for
I'll
sure.
take it too.
Just not paying attention. He's 25.
Right, and it'll be interesting to see if the Yankees keep him.
What do you think that price tag is? Over half a foot? What, $500 million?
It's got to be $500 million.
I would think so.
I would think, and I know that Boris will come in with the Ohtani contract, and he'll be told, well, your guy doesn't pitch, and he'll say, yeah, but the other guy didn't pitch last year either. I really will be interested to see what the final number is, and if the Yankees will go there. I'm not so sure the Yankees at this stage of their existence want to put that sort of a contract on the books after they got burned by Stanton.
Juan Soto is just so exciting to watch. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Exciting to watch, too. I think because he's obviously teammates with Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge is rightfully getting so much national attention now that you kind of forget that they are so powerful right now. Both of them are doing amazing things. I mean, it's almost like pick your poison with both of them.
And that's why I think they got to keep him. So you have this 1-2 punch. I mentioned that Judge fewest at bats to 300. He's on a list with Judge himself, then Babe Ruth, Mark McGwire, and Ralph Kiner.
Pretty good list.
Pretty good list. So I think you have to keep Soto. You're in New York. You're in this big market. And to your point, Randy, they have kind of changed the way that they approach these big free agents. But I think you got to keep them. Some way, somehow, you got to keep them.
Matthew, what do we have on the text line?
Take it or leave it. The Cardinals need to work with some architects and change the dimensions of Busch Stadium to make it more hitter-friendly.
I'm going to leave that.
No.
Do you bring the fences in?
I would not.
Yeah.
I think it plays fair. I'm okay with it. No, I wouldn't do it.
I think that the way the ball flies has changed since Ballpark Village went up.
I talked to, and I mentioned this the other day, I talked to Albert Pujols in 2022 at the All-Star break, or it was at it was a fundraiser for John Jay. I was emceeing it, and he came over to me and said, is the ball different? Or he said, is the ballpark different? And I said, well, they did put up Ballpark Village. He said, man, I'm barreling balls that aren't getting out of here. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of hitters feel that way when they go to Busch Stadium.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. I don't know. Well, if you bring in the fences, then what about your pitchers? Would you have to kind of change your approach with the pitching staff, too? Because they kind of give up a few home runs, as we talked about earlier.
But last year they did change their philosophy to swing and miss, right? Remember, about a year ago?
I think they're still working on that. That's work in progress,
okay.
Randy.
Quite the philosophy shift. Take it or leave it. Bring back McGreevy.
Oh, take it.
Right now?
The new Big Mac,
You can just say bring back, insert young player here with some amount of talent, and my answer is going to be take it.
See, here's the question, though. At what point do you feel like you're truly out of it? And then I think you're looking at playing more of the young guys down the stretch.
I remember on my birthday, and I don't know why I always go back to 2011 because it totally was the total exception. The Cardinals are out of it right now. They are. I think their playoff chances are, something like 3% or something like that.
8%.
8%, okay, as we
by
speak today.
Fangraphs.
All right. They're out of it. I got to be realistic. But I did say they had a 0% chance to make the playoffs on August 19th of 2011.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You have to have a realistic view of yourself. Mm-hmm. And, do you play it all the way out until you're officially eliminated, and then it only gives you a week to play some of these young guys? I think you have to be honest with yourself and at some point just say, it ain't going to work, and let's play some of these young guys or give them a start down the stretch.
Who are they calling up in September?
There's only two guys. I would think that Riley O'Brien will be one of them.
Herrera.
Maybe one hitter, one pitcher, yeah.
Could do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, McGreevy would be another one. Give him a spot start.
Activate Marp.
There you go, down the stretch.
Yeah.
I think that was a shot, Randy.
What?
Activating Marp.
Oh, no, because he'll be ready to come off the IL.
He will. Michael Ciani will, too, at some point.
Yeah. So maybe Victor Scott goes back. I don't know. Coming up next on 101 ESPN, we've got mic drops about Jordan Walker, and we want to hear from you with the mic drop feature at 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN app. J-Dub and mic drops next on 101 ESPN.
Fantasy football players, we're coming up on the best time of the year again. That's right. Football season is just around the corner. And if you're a Cardinals fan, you might even say mercifully so that football season is just around the corner. And the best place to play your daily fantasy during football season is with Underdog Fantasy. In fact, you can already get your week one entries in right now on Underdog Fantasy. All the different ways to play. You can play Pick'em. You can play Streaks. You can even do live drafts as well. Over 1 million fans got in the game last year by making picks on Underdog. And right now they've expanded the amount of picks that you can make. So you join in and compete with other underdogs to win up to 325 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats. No Cardinals game today. Again, I'm kind of happy about that. So I'm going to go with some golf. We got a little FedEx action today. So I'm going to go lower on all these scores here. We're going to go lower on Scotty Scheffler, 66.5 strokes for his score today. Lower on Xander Schauffele, 67 strokes. And lower on Ludwig Aubert with his 68 strokes for his line today. So lower on all three, Scheffler, Schauffele, and Aubert. And with Underdog Fantasy, making picks is so simple and even easier to get started. You can just go to their mobile app or to underdogfantasy.com, sign up with the promo code ROCC, and Underdog will give you a highly discounted pick to use in your first pick'em entry plus a deposit offer. You can just add that pick'em entry to what we just did with the golf today. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to claim your new customer offer of a gimme first pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus in President's Day where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Consider your play call and enter a gamer. Visit www.ncbgambling.org.
I've been saying this for a while, and it's starting to really come true, that if DeWitt actually did care, whenever he made the comment about 500 is not good for this town, this city, the team, whatever, this organization, he would have either fired Ollie, he would have either fired Turner Ward, or he would have fired Dusty Blake right off the bat. I just don't think DeWitts care anymore to win championships.
Thank you, Aaron, for the mic drop with the 101 ESPN app. And that is not an unreasonable take, but here's the way I look at it. I do think they care to win. I don't think that they would put the amount of money that they put into payroll if they didn't want to win. But I always said this about Mr. Bidwell when he was the owner of the football Cardinals here in St. Louis. He wanted to win. He just didn't know how to go about it. I think the sport has passed this organization by, and we can tell by the standings on a consistent basis now that franchises, Dodgers are spending a lot of money. But you look at the way that Atlanta has built their team. You look at the way that Arizona has built their team. You look at the way that San Diego has built their team. You look at the way that Milwaukee has built their team. There are a lot better ways to go about winning than the way the Cardinals are going right now. To your point, though, about firing people, we said it yesterday, and I will speak for myself here. I think the talent on hand for the Cardinals is better than it's performing.
I think that's fair.
100%. 100%. And to say the DeWitts don't care, that's wrong. Just flat out wrong. They do care. And they've got a lot of reasons to care because they have Ballpark Village. And you want people to go down. And what's going to bring them down? It's going to bring winning and good baseball. And I'm with you, Randy. I think going into the season, I just thought that this team would hit, and they have not hit. I mean, if you're looking at a specific thing that you say that the talent you thought was there, I would have said, boy, this team is going to hit and hit a lot. And they just haven't done that.
And I think that people are wanting somebody to be held accountable in this situation because, once again, last year was not just a one-off. This is showing that this is a trend in the wrong direction. And to you guys and what you're saying, your point about the DeWitts not caring, they are 12th currently right now this year in total payroll for their team. Their starting rotation is very expensive, as we have talked about before. It's top 10 in all of Major League Baseball just for their starting rotation. So they have spent a lot of money, but that money has not exactly panned out to success.
Well, and let's go to another sport. Jerry Jones clearly wants to win. He spends a lot of money. He's got players there, but he just doesn't know how to go about it anymore. And I think that's where the Cardinals, unfortunately, are right now. They were ahead of the game when they hired Jeff Luhnow and started analytics, but they kind of took it to an extreme now. And while other teams, Tony always talked about, old-time baseball people, Whitey always talked about how it'll bounce back, it'll come back around, and it'll wind up being baseball again. And you look at the organizations that are succeeding at a high level, and that's what's happened, is they're getting back to winning baseball. Let's get a mic drop from Scott here on 101 ESPN.
When it comes to the Cardinals, and I know I've said this in mic drops in the past, like, my lifestyle changed. I liked watching games late at night when everyone in the house was asleep. And then I got to a point where I was like, this is boring. I just don't care. And you have City, and you have Battlehawks, you have all these other things, college football, and NBA, whatever else is on late at night that I was recording. And I got to a point where I was like, this is boring. I just don't care to watch it. And they didn't make any real impact moves these past few years that have panned out. And it's at the point where I deleted streaming and cable altogether. I was like, why am I spending $90 to maybe watch a good game a week at best? So, yeah, that's until the Blues are back and football's back. I don't even have cable or streaming for the first time in my life.
Thank you, Scott. That, if you're Bill DeWitt Jr. or Bill DeWitt the
That's
third,
concerning.
You've got to be alarmed.
That's the apathy.
That's the apathy.
Yeah, that's exactly what you were talking about, Dan. The apathy really setting in for fans, and I don't blame them at this point. I really don't.
The sport is more exciting, though. That's the interesting thing, is that while the sport is more exciting, this team is not particularly fun to watch.
And when you don't hit, you're boring.
Yeah.
And right now, it's just boring to watch because they don't hit. And apathy, I keep going back to that word. That would be my concern if I'm ownership and I'm front office. You know, you want people invested. You want people to feel like, you know, you have a chance to win. You want that hope that you always talk about, and right now that's just not it.
We're going to get one more here, but we're going to take more mic drops at 9 o'clock. But let's hear from Mike here on 101 ESPN.
Look, I remember before Tony La Russa came into this team, and there was a lot of apathy then. But here's the thing about that. It's a lot easier to throw money into the team then than it is now. And I don't think that there's going to be much way that the Cardinals can throw money at this thing without taking out some of their profits. So the way it looks to me, there's going to be a standoff, and it's already started. The Cardinal fans have said enough is enough, and we're not going back, and we're not going to watch this thing until you spend some money into it. That's what they had to do back when Tony La Russa came in, but it's going to hurt a little bit more this time.
Thank you very much, Mike. We do appreciate it. And again, I don't know if, like you said at the top, Mike, I don't think that the Cardinals can spend to solve their problems. But I used the term earlier in the show, they need an organizational enema. When you look at Atlanta, and I think Atlanta right now for the Cardinals should be the model franchise. Austin Riley works out. Ozzie Albies works out. Freddie Freeman works out. Ronald Acuna works out. Michael Harris II works out. Max Fried works out. And then you fill in around them. And what the Cardinals need to do is, A, get their system to perform better. The players that come from their system need to perform better. And then if you're going to have a budget, you got to keep those guys around. For me, that's where the Cardinals need to go. You're never going to be able to do what the Dodgers or the Yankees do. And I don't think you want to do what Tampa Bay does because you want to have star players that you keep around. So I think for me, the Braves are the model that the Cardinals should be working at and looking at.
Yeah, I think that that's a great example. Even the Diamondbacks, I think, are another way of their approach. And we saw with the Brewers, just locking in some of these younger players that you are able to evaluate early. But I think there's also something to showing that confidence of, we're sticking with you. We're going to give you as many opportunities as possible. And that's what comes with some of those contracts if you're able to lock up those young players.
To kind of compare the late 90s, early 2000s and the way of going about business to what they're doing now is not sustainable.
No.
It's just not the same way. I mean, back in the day, to their credit, a lot of fans coming through the turnstiles and then reinvested it in the lineup. And I think you have to look at player development. And so they've had guys get to the big leagues. You can't refute that. I mean, they've had plenty of them, but to see them continue to grow is a question. And the other question that I have is that you can, well, if you throw money at it, are you throwing, which is great, they're 12th in payroll, but are you picking the right guys? I mean,
No.
that's the evaluation, too. So you can question, you can't question them spending money. They're doing it, but are you bringing the right guys in?
We're really appreciating your opinions, and we're going to get to more of them coming up next here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
This is the story of the one. As a warehouse manager.
Just when you thought this organization couldn't think of a way to screw with Jordan Walker more than they already have, they call the guy up and they stick him on the bench. He was in a hot streak in Memphis. He was finally figuring things out, and now they take him out of a rhythm. They bring him up, and they say, you're a bench player. You're going to bat against lefties. Why? What's the point? How is that doing him any good to come up here and not see playing time? Why is he not still in Memphis? And if he's up here, he needs to play every day. It just does not make sense.
That with a mic drop on 101 ESPN. It is bewildering that you would have a prospect of the ilk of Jordan Walker and you would not give him, when you get him to the major league level, the opportunity to play every day. I just fail to see how it benefits 20, is he 22 now? 22-year-old.
22.
To have him be, and he's a top prospect, to have him be a bench player. You do that when you have a moderate prospect that you're bringing up and you say, okay, his future is going to be as a pinch hitter. I hope they aren't looking at Jordan Walker's future as being a pinch hitter.
No, I really hope not either. It really doesn't make any sense to me, and that's why it's so frustrating, because we're talking about just some of the issues that we were discussing about with the organization. The development of some of the young players, and to the credit of Alec Burleson and even Mason Wynn, what they've been able to do this year has been spectacular, but Jordan Walker should also be in that category. That's somebody that you have to get the most out of, and he can play at the major league level. We had somebody text in earlier from the 573 saying that Jordan Walker, he's already had his chance at the majors. He is 22 years old. By the way, he had 16 home runs last season. I think he had hit over 250 last year, and you can't give up on him in that situation. If he's here, he should be playing every single day, and he's also effective against right-handed pitchers.
And looking at Newbar against right-handed pitching, he's hitting 222. So, his OPS is 717. But I think that if you're going to bring him up, you play him. I've been saying that, and I understand they're probably being overly cautious with him to make sure he doesn't get completely buried at the major league level. I try to take the 1,000-foot view of this. But me personally, I would love to see him play every day.
I agree with you. Is it okay if I get one text in real quick while Matthew is working on some of the mic drops that we were getting in right now? And thank you for everyone for sending those. From the 636, why are we congratulating a 12th in payroll when we are consistently top 5 and usually top 3 in attendance? I keep seeing this question over and over again. What do you guys think about that?
It's not attendance, it's revenue. And the Cardinals, number one, while they are consistently at the top of attendance, they don't charge as much for tickets as other organizations do. And the Cardinals don't, and this is because of market size, they don't generate as much local TV revenue as other franchises do. The Cardinals, according to the people that study the numbers, are always very close to where they are from a revenue standpoint with their payroll. Right now, they're 11th or 12th in payroll, I think, and 12th in revenue. I think they're right. Even last year they were 11th. That's the thing to look at, not ticket sales, not attendance, but the revenue generated. If you go every year to the Forbes evaluations of the franchises and look at revenue, that is a better gauge than tickets sold.
I think a gauge for where they're at right now will be this weekend. Now, you've got big stars coming in. We talked about it yesterday. You got Betts. You've got Ohtani. As Greg said, could be 50-50, which is amazing for a guy that also pitches, which is just amazing.
It's incredible.
It is. But how many fans will be out there, Cardinal fans, to watch the Cardinals play? Specifically because they're a Cardinal fan. I think that's going to be maybe a telltale of where some of the fans are going down the stretch and the final month of this season is how many fans are in the ballpark this weekend.
I think it's going to be, well, they've been pushing tickets. I hope that they get people out there to see the Dodgers, and I'm sure there will be a ton of Dodger fans on hand, but the Cardinals have been pushing tickets hard for this series. Let's hear from Lloyd.
You all spoke about apathy. I hit apathy when I saw the Cardinals lineup yesterday, and Jordan Walker was not in it yet again. He was called up. We played him game 1 with reverse splits before his equipment even arrived, and then sat him the next 2 games. There is no plan. There's no direction. There is no leadership. I am out until that gets cleaned up. And I've never been there before.
That last line has to be the most alarming for Cardinal ownership in the front office, that I've never been there before.
I think we were there last year. So I think a lot of fans were there last year. And I do think that a lot of fans, we're talking about going to the ballpark this weekend. This is recency bias, too. It's not only what's happening here in the, since the All-Star break, but going back to last year, and a lot of fans taking that wait-and-see approach because they're just not used to seeing this in St. Louis. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, they're not, because you're used to success here. And I think that's what's so frustrating, is to see the way that things have gone. There's so much history here with the St. Louis Cardinals, and everybody knows about that. Everybody nationally knows about that. And to see this happen in back-to-back seasons, I think is what's really bothering people, where you are hearing that apathy just really set in. And I hate to hear someone say, this is the first time that they've really tuned out. That shows a level of frustration and apathy that I think a lot of fans are dealing with right now.
Friend of the station, Janet, with a mic drop.
I hate the way the Cardinals are treating Walker. That poor young man, they've just been terrible to him, and it's a sin how they treat their players. This is not the organization I grew up watching play. Ever since Mozeliak has been in charge of what's going on and just worried about the money instead of worrying about the players and worrying about the organization, and has installed his philosophy of see how hard you can throw and swing for the fences. This team has gone down, 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 and they're taking the poor young players with them.
Janet.
Thank you, Janet. Way to bring it.
Just she comes with heat.
He does.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. She says that she's heartbroken over the way the Cardinals treat their players. They've treated Nolan Gorman really well.
Well, they've given guys chances like Nolan Gorman.
That's very true.
Brendan Donovan, Mason Wynn.
Lars Nootbaar.
Yeah. Alec Burleson. Just a lot of the focus is on Walker right now, and I understand that because he's a top prospect, and people want to watch him play. Righties, lefties, doesn't matter. They want to watch him play.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them.
Coming up, we've got the fight, and then coming up at 8:45, we're going to talk to our old friend Jason Motte. He's got a big event coming in tonight for the Jason Motte Foundation. Motte will join us coming up at 8:45 here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals are swept out of Cincinnati with a 9-2 loss yesterday. They will try to bounce back, get in the win column after a day off today with a series starting on Friday against the Dodgers as they come through St. Louis for a 3-game series. Yesterday, in a little bit of soccer news for the United States men's national team, they have their next head coach, and it's former Tottenham, PSG, and Chelsea manager Mauricio Pochettino. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, Randy, and Rocchio here, and it is time for the fight. And we have a returning fighter today. And things were a little tense yesterday, but we don't need to talk about it, according to Rocchio. But we bring back Kirk. Kirk, welcome back.
Good morning. How's everyone?
Good. How are you feeling after yesterday's victory?
Nervous still. How's that?
Oh, take away the nerves. Do you have a lot of people listening after they understood you won the fight?
No, not really. I didn't spread it around. It was too close.
Well, it was a W. I mean, it doesn't matter how close it was. Dub's a dub, babe.
Yep. That's true. That's true.
Okay. Well, let's go with question 1, and here we go.
All right, Kirk, who is the all-time steals leader in NBA history? Is it Chris Paul, Gary Payton, or John Stockton?
Gary Payton.
Right out of the hopper with a quick one, Gary Payton. Okay, question 2. Here's one concerning a record. Mark Reynolds still stands as the strikeout king of Major League Baseball. Which team was he playing for when he set that record? Was it the Diamondbacks, the Orioles, or the Rockies?
Oh, goodness. Something obscure, I guess. Let's go with the Rockies.
Okay. Rockies it is. Now we go to question 3.
2 of the top players on the all-time Gordie Howe hat trick list were both Blues. Which former Blues sits second on the list with 17? Is it Brendan Shanahan, Brian Sutter, or Bernie Federko?
Let's go with Bernie.
Big fighter that Bernie was. All right, question 4. In the last 45 years of NFL football, there is just one player to score an offensive, defensive, and special teams TD in the same season. It happened in 2022. Which AFC team had a player pull this off? Was it the Chiefs, the Steelers, or the Patriots?
Oh, geez. Well, let's go with the Steelers.
Final answer, Kirk?
Final answer.
All right, let me go grab Randy.
How are you feeling, Kirk?
Well, one NBA question was helpful, but I'm still nervous, but who knows? It worked yesterday.
It did. It did work for you yesterday. I forgot. Yeah, you're a big NBA fan. Here comes Randy Carricker in right now. No grapes in the bag. No grapes. Those are demolished once again.
Demolished.
Say hi to Kirk again.
Kirk, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Randy?
I'm doing well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. I was talking NBA with our buddy Greg Jost. You mentioned the NBA as I was walking in. Greg Jost, a native of New York. We were talking a little Knicks having their 4 Villanova guys. He's excited about it.
Excellent.
All right. Are we ready to fight?
Yeah, I think we're ready to roll. Are you ready for today, Randy?
I think I'm as ready as I'm going to get.
All right. Who is the all-time steals leader in NBA history?
All-time steals leader in NBA history. Is it Ricky Henderson?
This would be NBA history.
Oh, okay.
Not MLB.
Okay. Thank you, Dan.
No problem.
Clarifying. Is it John Stockton? I think I will go with assist leader. I'm going to go John Stockton as steals leader, too.
Final answer?
Yeah.
This is justice for Randy. You know that after yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
I'm on your side.
Appreciate it.
Well, here's one concerning a record. Mark Reynolds still stands as the strikeout king of Major League Baseball. Which team was he playing for when he set that record?
I think he said he didn't care about strikeouts as a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
I thought you were going to go through all his teams and then say Arizona Diamondbacks.
I remember when he broke the record, he said, strikeouts don't mean anything. I don't care. And I said, what an idiot.
He was ahead of his time.
He kind of was, yeah.
Hit a lot of home runs and hit them deep and long.
Hit long home runs, yeah. And remember when the Cardinals put his outline on the ground out by the
I do remember. That was funny.
That was good.
That was funny. On to question 3 we go.
2 of the top players on the all-time Gordie Howe hat trick list were both Blues. Which former Blues sits second on the list with 17?
Gordie Howe hat tricks. That is a fight, a goal, and an assist in the same game. And Gordie Howe, ironically, didn't have many of these. I'll do the lifeline here, Brooke.
All right. Brendan Shanahan, Brian Sutter, or Bernie Federico?
Okay, not Bernie. So it comes down to Shanny and Sutter. And since Shanny is one of the top scorers in the history of the league, and obviously was a fighter, I will go with a Brendan Shanahan.
Final answer. Are you ready for question 4?
Yes.
In the last 45 years of the National Football League, there's just one player to score an offensive, defensive, and special teams touchdown in the same season.
Woo.
Happened in 2022. Which AFC team had a player pull this off?
2022, you had offense, defense, and special teams touchdowns?
That's right.
Oh, who was this this two-way player that played just 2 years ago in the National Football League?
And remember, not looking for an individual, but looking for a team. That's right.
Had a player that's scored an offensive and defensive end.
Correct.
Okay. Well, let's just try to run through the teams here quickly and see if anything pops out. Let's see. So if it was 2022, it probably would not have been the Patriots. That would have been my first choice, like a Troy Brown or a Don Davis, who, by the way, I believe scored. Troy Brown, I think, did score offensive and defensive touchdowns, but not special teams against the Rams here in 2004. But I don't think it was them. So 2022 AFC North? I really have no idea who this is going to be. AFC South.
And unfortunately, you already used the lifeline.
I know. Yeah. So all I have to do is go with the team, right?
That's right.
I'll go with the team that scored a lot of touchdowns here. I will go with creative coaching staff. I'll just go Raiders, just because that sounds like something the Raiders would do.
Is that your final answer, Randy?
Yeah, it is.
Matthew, it's up to you now.
We have a winner in today's fight after some chicanery, my fault, from yesterday and Kirk's win. Does Randy Carricker stop him from going for a Hall of Fame shot tomorrow, or does Kirk roll on completely legitimately this time? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Just win, baby. I'm sorry, Kirk. Randy Carricker beat you up today a little bit. 3-0 was the total score.
That was my guess as he started answering. I'm like, oh, whoops.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, let's go through the questions and answers. The all-time steals leader in NBA history is, in fact, John Stockton. A lot of steals, a lot of assists for Mr. Stockton. Chris Paul sits just behind him. Michael Jordan, by the way, is like fourth on the list. It's ridiculous. Despite some challenges since he set the record, Mark Reynolds still stands as the strikeout king of MLB. Adam Dunn got one behind him a few years afterwards, but was with the Diamondbacks in 2009 when he set that record. 2 of the top players on the all-time Gordie Howe hat trick list were both Blues. Which former Blues sits second? It is, in fact, Brendan Shanahan with 16. Sutter with 17, sitting there right behind him. Brian, of course, was the option there, and he sits third in NHL history. In the last 45 years of NFL football, there was just one player to score an offensive, defensive, and special teams touchdown in the same season, doing so in 2022. And it was, in fact, the rookie at the time, cornerback for the Patriots. Marcus Jones, who in Week 11 had a game-winning punt return, 84 yards, and then Week 13 they put him on offense and he had a 48-yard catch-and-run touchdown. And then in Week 16 on Christmas Eve, he had a 69-yard interception return of Joe Burrow to cap it off, becoming the first player in 45 years. He then separated his shoulder and was out for the entire season for the Patriots last year in like Week 2. Hence why you haven't heard a lot about him, but maybe he does something special for the Patriots this year. Marcus Jones and the Patriots for a 3-0 win for Randy Carricker. Thank you again, Kirk, for joining the fight and joining the show.
Thanks so much. It was fun.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate having you on. And yeah, nobody's going to do anything special for the Patriots this year. Don't. They just traded Matthew Judon to Anthony's Falcons, so don't worry about that. Coming up, we're going to talk to the former Cardinal closer, world champion Jason Motte is next on 101 ESPN.
Sorry about it.
Danny Mac, Randy Carricker, opening drive 101 ESPN. The man who was on the mound for the final out of the 2011 World Series is back in town tonight for the 10th annual Jason Motte Foundation Cornhole Challenge. Jason Motte has been doing great work over the years with his foundation, and it's great to have him with us on the Celebrity Line on 101 ESPN. Jason, thanks so much for the time this morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you all for having me on. I appreciate it.
We're thrilled to have you. I want to start with this. Are you still coaching high school ball?
Yes, I am. I'm coaching high school baseball down in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm at Christian Brothers High School down there. So it's been great. It's been a good time.
Do you guys win a lot?
We actually ended up we were the state runner-up last year. We had ourselves a couple pretty crazy state championship games to get to the game and then stuff like that. So it it was a good run. I was very happy for our boys. But yeah, they've been playing some pretty good baseball down there. So it's been fun to watch, fun to be a part of.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us again this morning, Jason. And it's great what you and your family are really doing to help strike out cancer. If you don't mind sharing the story, why did you want to get involved with this cause?
So back in 2010, my wife's grandfather was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And honestly, me and my wife just had a question of how can we help? How can we help people who are going through the same thing that her family and her grandfather are going through. It started out with a simple thing of, hey, like maybe we get like some blankets. There was a sign at the place that he was getting his treatment at Memphis for blankets, and we're like, well, we can go get blankets, and then that led to one thing to another thing, to doing events in Memphis. We started doing our Cornhole event here in St. Louis 10 years ago. We have our Strikeout Cancer shirts, and all different colors, represent, just different teams around the league, but also just different cancer awarenesses and stuff like that. So, anything that we can do to give back and help those who are going through it the way that my wife's grandfather and her family and them went through it, we're happy to do it and happy to give back.
Hey, Jason, Danny Mac here. It's great to hear your voice. I'm always curious, as you reflect on your life and your career, do you ever sit there and go, how in the heck has this happened to me? A catcher in the minors that struggled hitting, and all of a sudden a long, nice career as a reliever, and ultimately the pinnacle closing out a World Series when you're on the mound. Do you ever reflect on that and just say, how in the heck did this happen?
Yes. I don't want to say I don't think about it a lot, but, if someone starts talking about it, it is crazy. I've had people ask, like, how long do you play and this and that? And I've thought about it, and, I played just over 9 years in the big leagues, and just thinking that I could have been sent home in 2006, instead of them asking me, hey man, you want to try pitching? I was like, sure, I'll give it a whirl. I'd never really pitched before, and those early days were pretty ugly. But I had a lot of good coaches, a lot of good players around me to help me to learn and how to, kind of, I don't want to say perfect my craft, because, you're never really perfecting anything in baseball. You're just always getting better, trying to get better every day. So, I had a lot of good people around me, and for me, just going out there and giving everything I had while I was out there was a big thing for me, whether it was a good day, bad day. I knew that I was going to go out there and give it everything I had every single day, and do the best that I can. And I kind of take that into, everything I do, and I guess in life, whether it's coaching high school baseball, doing our events, and stuff like that, or parenting and, all that stuff, just trying to go out there and be the best I can and learn and get better every single day.
Jason, one of the things that Cardinal fans are proud of is that we love our guys, and people come back, former Cardinals, and they get their standing ovations, and you've seen it over the years. How much pride do you take, though, in this St. Louis community continuing to support you personally, because you're a great guy and a great teammate and a great Cardinal, but supporting the foundation like they do too?
Well, thanks for the nice words. I appreciate it. I never really know what to say when people say nice things about me. I'm always like, cool. All right, next subject. But honestly, it's been awesome. Cardinal Nation is always, they supported me on the field, obviously, in our teams and our ball clubs when we were out there playing. But the way that they've shown up at our events over the years, yes, when I played, but also since I've been retired, still coming out to our events. We also hold a Cornhole event down in Memphis now. And I'd say over 60-70% of the people at the event are people from, Missouri, Illinois, wherever area, coming down, Cardinal fans. They'll come down to Memphis to support our foundation. So, stuff like that means a ton to me and my wife and our family, but also to all the people who are going through this right now. One of the other things that we, do with our foundation is, letting people know that they're not going through this alone. And that's another reason why we do this, and having the support of, Cardinal fans. But, honestly, I know, yes, we're talking Cardinal fans, but just we've had a lot of baseball fans in general, and I know we probably can't say it, but we've had Cubs fans there and Brewers fans and Dodgers fans and all the other, types of fans there. But at the end of the day, cancer doesn't have a favorite team. It could care less who your favorite team is. It affects so many people. So we're happy to, we just want to go out there and help and do everything we can for everyone who is going through this, regardless of what team you cheer for on the field. Like I said, we can all be teammates in the fight.
And tonight's event is at Anheuser-Busch at the brewery, and you can learn more at jasonmottefoundation.org. And even if you just want to be a spectator, you can go to jasonmottefoundation.org.
Yes, or like I said, tonight doors open around 5 o'clock. Play will start at 6. We do have some spectator spots available. So, like I said, you want to come in, you can show up at the door tonight and come in, hang out, watch some people play some good cornhole. I'm not one of those people, but we've got food, drinks. Come hang out and support a good cause.
Circling back, Jason, to what Danny Mac was asking about you with your journey, how important was Dave Duncan to your development?
He's the best. There's really no other way to put it, but Dunk was the best, and he helped me more than I think a lot of people know. We even simple stuff. Heck, Dunk didn't pitch, but he understood pitching. And we'd go through like our scouting reports before every series, and Dunk early on kind of would pull me aside and be like, "Hey, I know we went over the scouting report. This guy is bad on curveballs. You don't have a curveball. Don't try to throw one. It's not going to go well." So he kind of had almost like a separate scouting report for me, and he also put that kind of that confidence in me. I feel like I had confidence when I was out there on the mound. Even if I wasn't, I thought I was the baddest man out there. But he kind of put that confidence in me, like, okay, hey, this guy, do this, that guy, hey, go at him. This guy, you gotta be careful of that guy. You can get him out. I believe you can, but you got to do this. You can't stay in one spot. So it kind of put me in a different spot. And Dunk was one of those also when I first got called up. I remember being in the outfield here in St. Louis, and him walking up and just being like, "Hey man, we're happy to have you here." He's like, "Just remember," he's like, "just keep doing what you do." He's like, "You're here because of what you do." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, and what I mean by that is, he's like, if you're not a 2-0 changeup guy, he goes, don't throw a 2-0 changeup. Don't do it. He's like, you're a 2-0. Here's my fastball. I dare you to hit it. He's like, keep doing what you do, and be the best at it. So it was one of those things, hearing that from, a guy like him. And then we had Marty Mason in the bullpen at the time. And veterans like Russ Springer and Ryan Franklin and Izzy and guys like that. So, to be around those guys, but, to hear that from your big league pitching coach when you got 2 days in the big leagues is like, okay, not that, I ever felt like I belonged. I always felt like I had to go out there and prove it and do everything to go out there and get outs. But it was like, okay, all right, I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to do me. I'm going to be the best Jason Motte that I can be. I'm not going to try to be somebody else, and that's honestly kind of how I coach at Christian Brothers down in Memphis. I try to tell our boys, just be the best you can be. Don't try to be Clayton Kershaw or Mike Trout or Nolan Arenado. Be the best you. You can do things like them, but you need to be you and be the best you that you can be. So guys like that, and help me out a ton. But like I said, Dave Duncan, I can't say enough, great things about him because he helped me tremendously in my career.
You mentioned about coaching in high school, and we hear at the major league level that launch angle is such a part of the game, and home runs and power and slug and strikeouts are somewhat accepted. What about at the lower levels, like the high school level? How is the game being taught, and are some of those things being accepted in terms of just even high school baseball?
I tell our kids to hit bombs and strike kids. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that. Strike them all out. We hit bombs, boys. No, it is part of the game. We've we do have some of the analytics stuff at our high school. We have like the Rapsodos and stuff like that to try to work on that. But like I said, there's a lot of numbers in it, and if you don't know what all is going on, I mean, I've gotten lost in it, but I've also gone down, rabbit holes, wormholes, like, ooh, okay, all right, this is this, okay, we do this. But it does help, like I said, from a pitching standpoint, especially at the high school level. If you understand what some of the spin rate stuff means, or kids' arm angles, or how they can best, like they may be low 3/4 this out, but hey, they want to throw this big 12-6 breaking ball. It's like, well, after looking at the numbers and how the ball spins off your hand, it doesn't necessarily, like, your arm slot isn't really conducive for that. You may be more of a sweeper type breaking ball kind of guy, but Johnny's like, I want to throw a 12-6. It's like, well, you're going to completely compromise everything else you do. And same thing hitting. You go and we watch the home run derbies, and guys are, hitting launch angles of, 37 degrees or whatever it is, and hitting homers, and kids are like, ooh, I got to do that. It's like, yeah, he's also hitting that ball 105. You're hitting it 76. We need to lower that. We need to think more line drives. We need to think, so I mean, it is helpful, and we are using it, but also trying to make it and simplify, because at the end of the day, you got to simplify the game. You got to be able to put bat to ball. At the end of the day, you got to be able to barrel things up, and if you're hitting balls hard, good things will happen. And from a pitching standpoint, you got to be able to throw strikes, get ahead, throw strikes, attack hitters, and let your defense play. So, like I said, we do use it. We do have stuff, but like I said, it's one of those things that it's kind of a fine line, because you can get over enthralled with it and try to overdo stuff, and it's like, man, I don't, I need to be in, math 101, and you're trying to teach me, quantum physics. Mm-hmm. It's like I just need to figure out what 2 + 2 is right now.
Hey, Jason, before we let you go, that was a special team that you played on when you recorded the final out of the World Series in 2011. And as you know, the Cardinals are struggling right now, as you guys were at this time of year in 2011. And every major league player is talented. Every team has players. What was it about that room? What was it about the personality of that team that allowed you to come back like you did and wind up winning?
We ended up having a team meeting, Carp, and them kind of called a team meeting at the end of August. And, we were just not playing good baseball. We weren't, I think we were 10.5 back. It just wasn't good baseball. We were going out there and doing stuff. So we kind of had a team meeting. I was like, guys, listen, if we go out there and still end up 10.5 back, sweet. That's great. But we're going to go out there and we're better than this. We can't control what the Braves do, what the Phillies do, what whoever does. We can just control us, and what we're doing out there isn't, what we expect of ourselves. Honestly, it's not even what the fans expected or what it's like we expected more from ourselves. So it was like, you know what, we're going to go out and give it everything we have every single day, and you know what, win, lose, or whatever, we're going to go out the next day and do it all over again, and then we're going to wake up the next day and we're going to do it again, and then next thing you know, it was like, okay, well, hey, we win a couple, the Braves lose some, we win more, they lose, we lose, they win, we win, and it kind of went back and forth. Honestly, like I didn't even look at that all that much. We kind of just worried at the task at hand, and this game, this day, let's go out there and take care of business, and then wake up tomorrow and do it all over again. But we had leadership like that from the Carps, the Alberts, Berkmans, stuff like that, to just good guys on the team, guys that went out there and kept things loose, like Terrio and Punto and G Money, Gerald Laird. We had a good group of people, but we all came together for each other, and went out there and took care of business. And like I said, at the end of the day, we were lucky enough to go out there and be able to win and be winning when the last out was made.
And it's memorable, that last out. Jason Motte, we really appreciate what you do here in St. Louis. The 10th annual Cornhole tournament tonight at Anheuser-Busch. People can get more information at jasonmottefoundation.org. And, of course, as you mentioned, the doors open at 5 and people can come in and watch what transpires. Thanks so much for the time, and we will see you tonight over at Anheuser-Busch.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason. Jason Motte with us on 101 ESPN. By the way, he mentioned that Chris Carpenter called that meeting back in 2011 at the end of August. And basically what Carp said was, hey, we're better than this. Let's not embarrass ourselves. We are better than this. Things are not looking good. But as we play through September, let's not embarrass ourselves. Chris Carpenter, in September of that year, went 3-0 with a 2.15 earned run average. So he called the meeting, and then he put his money where his mouth was.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when Chris Carpenter is speaking, you're listening to what he's saying.
Yes, you are.
I got to wonder if team meeting will be held or has been held with the Cardinals of 2024. You know, at some point, you know, I think it can fall on deaf ears. But when you're struggling like this, and, you know, what is said after a game like last night, a road trip last night where you're 1-4, you know, people say, well, you can start throwing things and you flip the spread. None of that resonates with a pro athlete. But having the leaders step up and just say, you know, Tommy Pham, even though he's been here a short time, is he the kind of guy that does that? Or some of the other, and I'm sure it's being talked about and maybe not outside the clubhouse. We don't hear about it. But, you know, Matt Carpenter and some of these guys that have been around a long time. I got to wonder what's being said inside that clubhouse when you have this rough stretch. And right now they're under 500. So, you know, play better baseball. I still believe this is a better team than the way they played. I could be wrong.
I agree.
But I think they're better than what they've shown.
Yep. Coming up, more reaction to the Cardinals being under 500 next on 101 ESPN.
I've been the most critical of the outspoken BFIB fan more than practically anybody. I call them the worst fans in baseball or the worst fans in sports. But this team has fallen apart after the All-Star break. I'm with them. I'm done. And I did this once before, and then I became a believer again, but I'm done. Let's just bring in the young guys. Let's tear down. Let's get rid of Arenado. Let's get rid of Goldie for next year, and bring in the young bucks and see what they can do. It can't get any worse than it is now.
That is a mic drop from Michael here on 101 ESPN. And I get the frustration. I do, though, wonder about the reality right now of trying to move a guy like Nolan Arenado. And not that he's a bad player now. 717 OPS this year, coming on the heels of 774 OPS last year. He's really good in 2022. His defense is not what it was, although it's still stellar. It's still very good. This year hitting 270 with a 324 on base and a 393 slug. Not that that's bad, but if you're another team and he is signed for $35 million a year, actually next 3 years, $32 million, $27 million, $15 million, and he has the no trade. Is there another team out there that for diminishing performance from Nolan Arenado is going to want to trade for him that he wants to go to?
That's the big key there, that he wants to go to. It seems like that time might have passed of possibly something. I know there was a ton of rumblings a while ago about him and the Dodgers, but that ship has sailed with that situation.
They're the ones that could eat it, though. I mean, if they're still getting a semi-productive player, and he's better than a semi-productive player, it just we put a lot of emphasis on him because the money that he's getting. But that would be one contract that I think the Dodgers would just say, yeah, we can take it. I mean, they take on so many different contracts anyway. And going back to what the mic drop was about, I think one of the things you have to look at in this season, if there is a moment, it was the Helsley game in Chicago. And if they win that game, got to wonder what the rest of that weekend looked like, and really the rest of the season. That was a gut-wrenching loss. And I don't like to point to one win or one loss as being why you lose or win in a season, but that one was gut-wrenching, and it just makes me think about where this team would be if they would have won that game.
It really changed the tide of things. And also to their point, too, about who is staying and who is going for next year. What does this team look like exactly next year? We still have questions about, with Paul Goldschmidt, will he sign an extension? Will the Cardinals want him to sign an extension? What's next for him? Because there's not really a lot of guys that you possibly could move on from unless you're looking at your pitching staff.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know if the same group is going to be in charge of personnel. So I think it's impossible to say right now. If Mo decides that, okay, I've had enough and walks out the door at the end of this season, then all bets are off in regards to how this thing looks.
Yeah, and do you stay in-house? You know, and again, that will be Mo's decision if he wants to step away. I truly believe that going into his final year. And does he want to do this anymore? I mean, it's 24/7, 365, and he's been doing it a long time, and there's other things I know in his life he wants to accomplish. His kids now one is grown up and working, the other one is going to college. You know, that's another thing that you look at. There's probably other things he wants to do in his life, but you know, does he want to stick it around one more year? My guess would be yes. I don't. He's always talked about leaving the franchise in a better spot than when he got it, and I think right now this has got to be really, really frustrating for him and his cohorts that are in that front office. It's got to be.
Yeah. Can I make one other quick point about the possibility of Arenado to the Dodgers? They have Max Muncy under contract for 2 more years. Last year, Max Muncy had an 808 OPS, 36 homers, 105 RBIs. Better than Arenado. This year, 798 OPS, 9 homers, 28 RBIs, but he's done so. He's been injured in 40 games. One thing about Arenado, he posts. He goes to he's in the lineup every single day. But Max Muncy is a better offensive player than Nolan Arenado at this stage of their careers, and they're the same age.
And sometimes, though, you think about going back home. And do you get a jump and get a boost with that, and a team that is always going to be in contention? Right now, this team is not in contention. I mean, they're 8.5 games out. I just think you get a little bit of a jump in your career if you can do that, and understand that you have a chance to win every single year. I think there's something to that.
And that's why you came here.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the personnel on this team as 2025 approaches and we get through this, the end of this season, presumably without playoffs, and then the offseason. Let's get a quick mic drop, shall we? Is Sam still available? Can we get Sam? Let's get Sam quick.
Waymar Mole decides he's going to use Walker is pretty baffling to me, period. They said they're going to platoon him against lefties, and when you look at his splits, which any fan can find on Google, his splits against lefties aren't as good as he is against righties. They're setting him up to fail, and I'm not really understanding why.
Sam, I agree with you. I don't understand why either.
I like the way that he phrased that. You can't find that anywhere, and he's right. He is more effective in his career versus right-handed pitchers than lefties. And going back to, you just faced a bunch of lefty starting pitchers not too long ago, and I understand that he has just started to heat up, but now you know that you're going to be facing, as of right now, I know that things can change, of course, with starting rotations. You're going to face a lot of right-handed starting pitchers here soon.
As a fan of the sport, I want to see him play. Just righties, lefties, put him in their everyday lineup. And if you get a couple weeks in and he's struggling, then you're going to have to sit him. I mean, we talked a lot about this, is that, in my opinion, in a month and a half or so with him, I thought you had to be careful, because you don't want him to get buried at the major league level and then go into the offseason and again saying, well, what am I doing wrong? Do I belong here? Can I fit? And I would hope that's not the case, but I think that's why they're being overly cautious with him at this point. That would be my guess.
Coming up here on 101 ESPN, is it going to be difficult for the Cardinals long-term to catch up to some of the other organizations in the National League? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN.
This organization's track record with developing young hitters has become so bad that I think every other team in Major League Baseball uses them as the model of what not to do. Where this organization is going in any facet of their game, they have gone from being the gold standard of organizations to the laughingstock of baseball.
Jacob with a mic drop to 101 ESPN. And Brooke, Dan, you look at this Cardinal club that's 60 and 61, and they are the sixth oldest team in baseball. Now, there are some items that take them to that level, right? When you have Matt Carpenter, Tommy Pham, Brandon Crawford, Marp is 38, 39, Crawford's 37, Tommy is 36, and then you have the seasoned starting pitching with Michaelis, Gray, Kyle Gibson, who will join us in just a few minutes,
Lynn,
and Lance Lynn. So that makes you a lot older. But the problem that you have is if you replace those veteran players, you got to replace them with people that are better if you're going to improve. And when you look at the team we just saw, the Cincinnati Reds, with all of the youth that they have, and Hunter Green emerging as a number one type pitcher. The Pirates have a legit number one in Paul Skeens. The Brewers, for whatever reason and however reason, they're able to find people that are great pitchers. And then the Cubs, and it looks like Justin Steele is back. They've gotten pretty good work out of their starting pitching this year. Not great, but pretty good. And the Cubs also have some pretty good youth with Pete Crow Armstrong in center field, and they've Seiya Suzuki in right. They've done a really good job. All of those teams that are in the Cardinals division have high quality youth. I would argue that among the Cardinals' young players, Mason Wynn is probably going to be the biggest star among the position players. And I don't see, aside from Ryan Helsley, who's 30, a young pitching star on the horizon for the Cardinals like I see with the other teams in the division.
You guys were talking about this at the start of the show today about that prime age and how there really isn't any for that group right now. There really isn't. And you look around at some of the other teams, there is a lot of success with that. I think the Padres are a really good team that you have to watch for. The Diamondbacks, I've talked a lot about Corbin Carroll, but the way that they utilize him and also the way that they locked him up last season, and now he's a big part. Once again, he was a story last year for him, for helping them get to the World Series. But I think that that's another approach that has really paid off for him. So when you're looking at some of the young players, I think as of right now, you're right. Mason Wynn is the one I'm looking at.
And you really don't want to tie up a platoon player to a long-term 6-year contract, do you?
Well, he
Probably
shouldn't be
not.
a platoon player.
So there's been so much put on the young players this year because of what looks to be the trajectory of their careers at their age. You're talking about age. You're talking about Goldie and Arenado. And then the other guy, I guess if there's a pitching prospect that I'd look at, I wrote it down, would be Tink Hens.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I'm excited to see what he does and continues to develop. So that would be one guy that comes to mind. Their young players really have been okay. I think they were supposed to just kind of supplement areas of this roster and of the opening day lineup, you know, with Donovan, with Wynn, what you've gotten out of Burleson, who's had a really good year. It's been a little sluggish in the second half. It got off to a really slow start in the second half. But these were not complimentary pieces, but pieces that you looked at to take another step. And I think some of these guys have. But I always go back to Goldie and Arenado. If they are Goldie Arenado, you're probably not having this conversation here on August 15th and a team that's 8.5 out and one below 500.
And their power has been zapped that we've seen this year. Nolan Arenado has been able to string some better at-bats here as of late, but that power still is just not there for him. And I think Goldie went 2 for 12 during this entire series against the Reds. So those are things that really concern you. And you brought this up when we're talking about some of the older players. You had the numbers of how many at-bats combined between
181 between Crawford and Carpenter, your 25th and 26th guys.
I was not expecting that or hoping for that going into this season. Nothing against those two. I understand the need for veteran leadership. We've heard that about how important it is. But at the same time, I was not expecting them to have that many at-bats combined.
I thought that they would be in that range. I figured less than 100 for both. And I think they'll probably wind up right at that 200 mark. And that's over 6 months. Now, Carpenter's had a couple of stints on the IL. But the Cardinals knew coming in that those were going to be the 25th and 26th players on the roster. That was the way that Ollie planned to use those guys. The problem is, it's amazing how it always comes back to this. It is that they aren't getting superstar production from anybody on their team. You can't expect it from the kids, as you mentioned, Dan. They've been pretty good. You expect it from Arenado and Goldie and Contreras, who you're paying to be a star, and he's been reasonably productive. But they aren't getting there's nobody on this roster that is delivering superstar production. And that includes Mason Wynn, by the way.
I was going to say the one guy I would say is Mason Wynn, but I'm coupling that with his defense. I'm not talking about a guy that in the lineup is somebody you look at to hit 25 home runs and drive in 90. I just don't.
Right. Ellie De La Cruz is delivering.
He's an outlier.
Superstar production. Witt is delivering superstar production. If you look at the good teams, since he came back, Xander Bogaerts has delivered superstar production. When he's been healthy, Machado kind of has. And as Greg mentioned earlier with the return of Tatis, you can expect that. That's another problem that the Giants have, by the way, although they're getting superstar production right now out of Blake Snell. They didn't for the first half of the season. Most of the teams that are towards the top of the standings are getting superstar production out of somebody, whether it be Jose Ramirez in Cleveland, whether it be a pitcher or a hitter. The best teams get superstar production.
Have to have it.
Yep.
And then complementary players mixed in. And I think if you look at the two big guys that aren't producing, if you did have them producing, and it's woulda, coulda, shoulda, and had what the young guys are doing,
we wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd be very excited right now about the first place Cardinals.
Yeah, they'd be in first place.
Yeah.
Even with a rotation that has kind of bent and at times broke in the second half. I mentioned it earlier that the rotation right now since July 1st is combined with about an ERA of 5.5. That is a problem. So as we talked about with Greg, are some of these guys starting to wear down, the older guys, as this season goes on? And I think that's a valid conversation when you talk about it's not only the lineup, but it's also what we're talking about with this rotation too.
That's Dan. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, we'll visit with our friend, Cardinal right-hander Kyle Gibson from Big League Impact. He's next on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird report. The Reds blasted the Cardinals last night, hitting 5 home runs on their way to a 9-2 victory to complete the sweep in their 3-game series in Cincinnati. The Reds out-homered the Cardinals 10-1 and outscored them 19-4 in the series. Kyle Gibson allowed 7 runs and 7 hits, including 4 homers through 4 2/3. The Cardinals have now lost 4 games in a row and are below 500 at 60-61 for the first time since June 19th. After a day off today, they will welcome the first-place Dodgers to town for a 3-game series starting on Friday night at Busch.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals fall yesterday to the Reds 9-2. They will look to get back in the winning column, and they start a 3-game series hosting the Los Angeles Dodgers on Friday evening. In some news yesterday for the United States men's national team, they have a head coach, and as a former Tottenham Hotspur fan, Randy Carragher's pretty happy with it. Mauricio Pochettino has been named the next head coach of the United States men's national team. The former Hotspur, PSG, Chelsea boss joins the United States men's national team official earlier this morning. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
With Brooke Grimsley and Dan McLaughlin, I'm Randy Carricker. It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN. And our friend Kyle Gibson, Cardinal right-hander, joins us here on the opening drive. Kyle, you doing all right this morning?
Good morning, guys. How are you doing?
We're doing good. This is a tough one because you have to deal with umpires all the time, and I'm going to ask this in a broad sense because you kind of looked frustrated by borderline calls last night, and I know you're pretty stoic out there on the mound. So how do you mentally react with a borderline call that you don't get?
I think it just depends on how many, really, and if it's consistent in one location. And then I think in certain times it enhances that frustration when, as a team, we feel like the other pitcher is getting those borderline calls. And, most of the time, between Willie and Pedro and the other catchers, if there's a borderline one, they look at it in between innings and then, they let the umpire know. Because the umpire really wants to know when they get them wrong, right? They want to get them right. And normally that kind of helps them adjust the sights. I haven't gone back to look at all of them. Maybe if a couple of those calls had been the difference in the game, I might have been, more apt to look at them. But, and I try to not talk about it too much in the post game because, the calls here or there are not the difference between 4 home runs and 1 home run. So, that's probably the frustrating part at the end of the day. But, it's, when you feel like it's kind of multiple calls, it can get more challenging.
Kyle, you've been really adamant about the belief in that clubhouse has been consistently strong all year long, even when things got off to a tough start earlier in the year, and you guys were able to dig yourselves out of that. Now you guys have had a rough stretch of games here. Is that belief still really strong in that room with you guys that you can climb your way back out of it?
Yeah, I think it is. The interesting part here is the more I thought about this, just over the last 12 hours, I know that probably sounds silly, but, get home late, think about it on the flight, already kind of thought about it this morning. The 3-game stretch, if that goes different and we win those 3, people are talking about how good the Cardinals look, right? We're probably, 4.5, 5 games back of the Brewers. We're probably sitting a half game back of the Braves, maybe in that wild card spot. And everybody's really excited. Obviously, they didn't go our way, and just so happened, a couple of those teams won their games, and we look a little bit farther out. But I think it just goes to show that a 3 to 5 or 7 game swing can do a lot when a team plays well. And it can do, obviously, the opposite when we don't play well. So, yes, the team is still very confident. We still believe in ourselves because we do know that, we have the team, we have the pitching, the offense, and the defense to go on a streak where we win 6 out of 7, 8 out of 9. And then all of a sudden, especially with the teams we're playing, we're playing good teams, but they're also the ones that are ahead of us. So if we play well here in this stretch at the end of August, beginning of September, we're confident that we have the team to make up those games, and we're going to be in a good spot if we play well.
Kyle, from a pitcher's perspective, win a game or lose a game, how quickly do you put a game behind you and just start looking at the next start?
Some of them take a little bit longer. Normally, I would say within a couple hours after the game, I'm pretty able to put it behind me. I got 4 kids and a wife that were allowing me to do a lot here around the house and be present. Starts like that sting a little bit more because, between the home runs and just the situation, team needed a competitive start, and we needed one to keep us in it and take some of the pressure off the offense. And on top of giving up that, for me, I believe that I've got the stuff to keep the ball in the ballpark, and I just didn't. Now, Great American Ballpark doesn't hold too many fly balls to the track, so that's part of it, but still have to do a better job there. But, first day of school was today, and you got to be able to move past certain things or else you're going to not enjoy other things. So, I was frustrated last night, still frustrated maybe a little bit this morning, but those three older kids rolled out of bed, made some pancakes, got them to school, and it was first day of school. So we'll move on to the next one.
Kyle Gibson's secret for a great pancake, what is it?
You know what? I started this pancake recipe in 2019 when my stomach stuff was kind of in full flare-up, not great. It used to be a dairy-free. Now there's a little bit of milk in it, but almond flour is part of it, a little bit more protein and a little bit more flavor. And I think adding in the mixture of part almond milk and part normal milk just adds a little bit more sweetness and flavor to it.
And what do you put on it? What is it? Just the pancake for you? I know for the kids they've got the syrup and stuff, but what about for you?
You know what? Today we try to have some special occasions. So today I made pancakes with chocolate chips and different sprinkles in them.
That's my guy.
A little pep in the step here for day one of school. And then I like to switch it up. I like, doing yogurt in between the layers, adding in syrup, adding in fruit. People who have been to breakfast with me on my team know that I'm a pretty standard. Give me your best stack of pancakes you got on the road, and let's see how they stack up.
I knew I liked you a long time ago. Now I know exactly why. We think alike.
I'm curious, Kyle. There are certain players in baseball that you'll pay a ticket as a fan, whether you're a Cardinal fan or not, and you're going to go down to the ballpark to watch that particular player play or pitch. Do you do that as well? For instance, Ohtani is coming to St. Louis. Do you guys in the dugout just sit there and go, can you believe what this guy has done and what he's doing?
It's those situations that you like watching him play. You hope that he hits, 110-mile-an-hour rockets right to the outfielder, and you catch him and you say, man, didn't he hit that ball hard? But, go ahead and we'll see you next time. That's kind of how you hope it goes. But, I think there's players that still grab the attention of everybody in the dugout, everybody in the stadium. And, we are fans. We get to play, obviously. But yes, we do enjoy watching other people play and special athletes and special talents go at it.
I'm glad this came up, Kyle, because Aaron Judge hit his 300th home run last night. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but you own Aaron Judge. He's hit 143 against you with 3 Ks. But how intimidating is a guy like that, 6'8", 280, at the plate digging in against you?
Well, I didn't realize that. I was thinking that you were going to say that I own a couple of 300 homers, but I appreciate that. It can be. I think to me, it comes down to the report a little bit, and where my zones of success are. Right. It's a little bit more intimidating for me whenever the hitter's strengths cover up all my strengths. That makes me get a little bit more creative. I don't know what Judge is hitting this year and where his strengths are, but it's imposing to know that a guy can go up there, swing so effortlessly, and has power to all parts of the field. And Ohtani does the same thing. So, those are the guys that they can try to hit a backside line drive on a breaking pitch with 2 strikes, and they hit it out of the ballpark. Those guys are imposing and can offer different challenges just because of how they're able to swing and get so much, behind the ball with so little effort.
Kyle, just kind of going back to the clubhouse mentality, there's so many veterans, including yourself, in that room. When you guys are coming back here home, obviously, for a very tough stretch of games, is there a discussion that's been had here recently or something that you guys say to this group moving forward?
I don't know. I'm not sure if somebody will want to say something tomorrow. We didn't say anything last night. I think there's guys, I talked to a couple people and just, pick brain a little bit and, sit next to Goldie on the flight and, ask him a couple questions. And I think the thing that veteran teams and I'm sure the media and fans, probably just don't like it, but when it's instances where you're not playing well and you're losing, everybody just understands, if we play better, it obviously fixes it, I think just in general, the last 3 games, I think, our rotation could have given us a better chance. Bullpen still, I think they did pretty well. We had some instances where maybe we got frustrated and defensively we did just a couple miscues in a row. Offensively feels like they can do more. So when you're playing well and you're getting beat, I think it can be just as frustrating. When you're not playing well and you're losing, you kind of expect to lose a little bit because you're not playing well. So that when you play better, you're going to pick it up and those wins will start coming.
You have fantasy football coming up. Do you have Jordan Walker as your tight end?
No, but man, what an athlete he would be out there, huh?
Oh, my goodness.
I saw him and Mason were loosen up throwing the football a little bit on Tuesday, and they both can throw it. So, that'd be awesome.
And that fantasy football that we're talking about with Big League Impact, a great event coming up in early September over at Busch Stadium, and people can get more info at bigleagueimpact.org. But that's one of the hallmarks, isn't it, of Big League Impact is the fantasy football.
Yeah, Wayno started it, back in 2014 with his brother and had what an awesome idea to do charity event with fantasy football with people and St. Louis fans. And he's coming back for it. He's going to be there September 6th, and Lars and Helsley and myself and quite a few people. So it's going to be a lot of fun. If I'm sure there's going to be a lot of repeat people back because it's one of those things that once you're there, you just keep coming back because you have fun. It's different every year because the players are different. The on-field experience that day is just awesome, where you get to come out and play catch on Busch Stadium, take ground balls, and hang out with Stubby Clapp and Descalso as well. They're going to come out and hit ground balls and be with people. So it's just an awesome experience that I'm thankful that Adam had this vision a decade ago, and here it is 10 years later, still impacting people for a really good cause. And it's going to go. The proceeds are going to go to Crisis Aid International here locally in St. Louis, and do a lot of good helping families in need.
September 6th over at the ballpark. Get more information now at bigleagueimpact.org. Okay, I'm going to ask you one. This is a total stupid fan, never played question. Your next 22 games are against teams that are in the playoffs. Some teams will cower at that. Some teams, and I've seen it, are energized by the idea of the competition and rising to the occasion against the competition. Do you look at playing Dodgers, Brewers, Twins, Padres, Yankees? Is that kind of an opportunity for your ball club?
It's definitely an opportunity. I'm going off the cuff here, not knowing what our record is against teams over 500, but I know we've played a lot of close games, and I feel like we've played a lot of close games both ways against teams over 500. And kind of what it speaks to my comment earlier is that a good stretch of 10 games still isn't something that you can overreact to, but a good stretch of 10 games in these next 20 games can do a lot for us going in the right direction in a playoff picture. So I think that's what really is going to energize this team, understanding that, there's multiple teams coming in here that are, in their mind, they're going to try to put us away. And in our mind, we're trying to make sure that, we cement ourselves as a good team, knowing that we're a playoff team, and this is how we're going to get back in it, is playing well at the right time, and then get into August and play really well and peak at the right time at the end of the month. So, like you said, it gives you a chance to make up games quick in certain times if you're playing well.
Kyle, you're the best. Thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. Have a great off day. We appreciate you doing this on your off day, too. And have fun watching I'm glad that you don't have to watch or pitch against the Dodgers. Just watch Ohtani and hope that 110-mile-an-hour screamer to right field, you can just enjoy it. It's in
screamer to right field, not to Goldie at first. That's a really hot shot at first. If he's playing back on the grass, that's fine. But let's get it on a line drive at about 12 degrees right to Newt. That'd be great.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kyle. Take care.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys.
You got it. That is Cardinal right-hander Kyle Gibson on 101 ESPN.
I really like his approach this morning, too, of making sure the kids have a lot of chocolate and sugar in their system before they go to school.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's just a brilliant guy. We're going to head down the stretch with Rocc Roll here on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and this year we decided it was time to make a major upgrade to our house by updating our bathroom. We have this house in U City. It's over 100 years old, and we love it, but we never exactly loved our main bathroom. So we decided to reach out to one of our great sponsors here of 101 ESPN, and that is E&B Granite. E&B Granite's team visited our house for a free consultation, and they came up with a vision of how to really transform our bathroom. My favorite part of working with E&B Granite was working with Jim. I stopped by their amazing showroom to explore their large selection of in-stock custom countertops, all their different cabinet options. I really have never done anything like this before, so I didn't even know where to start, but Jen really walked us through everything, and she had so many great ideas for us that really fit within our budget. And that's what they've been doing there at E&B Granite for over 20 years, turning visions into realities. So schedule your free consultation by calling 314-645-9300 or go online at embgranite.com or stop by their amazing showroom today and make sure you mention that I sent you.
I want to rock. And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Season right around the corner, and you can join 101 ESPN for the second annual Blues and Brews on Friday evening, September 20th at Anheuser-Busch. Get fired up for the blues season at this outdoor street party featuring live music from country music star Matt Stell and St. Louis's own Charles Glenn Group. That's not country music, by the way. Plus appearances by blues players and alumni, food trucks, 101 ESPN giveaways, and more. Tickets just $20 and are on sale now. Learn more at 101ESPN.com. Plus, we have your chance to get a 4-pack of Cardinal tickets to Tuesday night's Budweiser Bash game for the Cardinals and the Brewers. Next week's Bud Bash game features a limited edition Woody Williams bobblehead. You can get all the details on this season's series of Budweiser Bash Cardinals games now at cardinals.com/promotions. But you can also text in right now to 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO to win Budweiser Bash tickets for next Tuesday. Matthew, what kind of question you got for us?
You know what? I had a question, but then you read that Blues and Brews read, and I thought of a different Blues trivia question that I now want to throw out there. So I'm going to throw out a Blues trivia question for you to win these Cardinals tickets. 2024 St. Louis Blues had a 130-goal scorer. Who was it?
Oh, this is a great question. Let's do texter number 19, Woody Williams' number. And you will win if you, Woody Williams' number with the Cardinals. You will win if you text in correctly. We've got a balloon party coming up with T-Mac and Ajax, and followed by BK and Ferrario. And then you're going to have a fast lane. Matthew, what do we got with Rockin' and Rollin'?
I just, the White Sox have announced that they're dropping season ticket prices in 2025 by 10%. Considering the team's going to lose like 120 games, that seems like a pretty good move. This just seems to be another step for the White Sox. I'm now extremely gloom and doom. I'm ready to accept every bad, terrible thing that happens for the greed of owners in sports. So I'm 100% down with the Chicago White Sox eventually moving out of Chicago. But Danny and Randy, do you guys see that as an actual possibility that Chicago would no longer have two baseball teams?
They were on the edge in 1992, 1993.
Okay.
They were ready to go to Tampa, and they got this stadium built. But with the economy in Illinois, and with the fact that they don't draw well, they are basically irrelevant on the Chicago sports scene. Would I be surprised to see the White Sox wind up in Charlotte or Nashville? Heck no.
I wouldn't be either. I wonder, though, if Jerry Reinsdorf would do it. You know, he's had a lot of sports success in that town, and would he be willing to say, I'm out? And it's also leverage. You know, for Major League Baseball, it's leverage for trying to get new stadiums for teams that want, or cities that want teams to come. I don't know. My gut would tell me, yeah.
Let's see how old Jerry Reinsdorf is. 88. So,
that's pretty old.
You know, you're probably looking at after he's not with us anymore.
I mean, he brought Tony La Russa back. He's got loyalty.
Yeah, he does. Right.
Big time loyalty.
It's just when you see this happening, it makes you wonder, though, if they'll move. Do you think it's more likely? I think that it's more inevitable that Nashville gets a baseball team.
Yes.
More likely that you have that situation, or that they're just awarded a new franchise, a brand new one.
I would think that one of the cities, you probably have three cities in play right now.
For an expansion?
Yeah. So you'll have two expansion and then one team that'll move, because apparently the A's are going to wind up in Vegas, kind of still, and Tampa's keeping theirs. But you still have Montreal, you still have Charlotte, you still have Nashville. So you have three cities and two expansion teams, so the White Sox could be the other one.
Portland, that's another city we hear about.
Yep.
Mexico City would be another potential landing spot.
People would lose their head over that.
We got a balloon party coming up.
We do have a balloon party
Ajax
coming up.
and T-Mac.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Also, if you have been down to just kind of advocating for Nashville for a segment here, I think that an expansion would be better. I would not want to see that happen to the White Sox fan base. They do not deserve that whatsoever, especially just watching everything, though, that happened with John Fisher, the way that he treated those fans on the way out. It's never a good look when that happens. But I don't know if anybody's been to a Nashville Sounds game. It's a lot of fun. They built like a brand new stadium years ago, an exciting environment. You have Vandy baseball right down the street, and there's a lot of history there.
Whether it is an existing team or an expansion team, Nashville has to have a Major League Baseball team.
I like the idea of a major market losing a team. Something about that seems kind of like, oh, so they don't just get to skirt along and do whatever they want to do because they're in a major market no matter what. Sometimes the chickens can come home to roost even if you're in the number 2 or 3 market in the entire nation.
But then they wind up getting their franchises back anyway.
But like I can sit here and revel in the Schadenfreude for a little bit.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
But then
I'll take that.
Then we lose our team back to LA.
I mean, yeah, fine. Chicago probably gets another baseball team. I'll deal with it. Oh, well. But for now, I'm going to make fun of the number 2 market in the nation for losing a team. What are you doing, you hacks? so on
if
and so
you're a
forth.
fan, are you showing up to that game, though? They're not putting...
No, they're pretty bad.
Yeah.
Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio.
I will go find a White Sox beat writer who put out tweets in 2011 about how bad the attendance was for Rams games, and then I will laugh at their tears.
There you go.
I will laugh at their tears.
Good. Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yep.
Good. Danny Mac.
Great
You were
job,
awesome,
Randall.
brother. Great job by you. We thank all of you for tuning in, texting in, and Mike dropping in and being a part of this program. We're going to do the same tomorrow. For all of us until tomorrow morning at 7, have a great Friday Eve, St. Louis.